It's time to draw. It's time to start the show. 'Cause I got a lot to do. And it's getting late. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, look, Mark's already in the chat room. You're a winner. Hey, everybody, what's up? So, I got a lot of drawing to do here. And to keep me company and you all hopefully entertained while we do that, Mike's joining in tonight. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Oh my god, hi.
Hey, Mike, what's up? So, yeah, man. So, I got a bunch of these sketches I got to draw here for the prints that are up in the shop SketchCraft. There's only 2 Final Fantasy VII prints left. I'm actually going to start with Jane Foster Thor because I'm going to start with that. In the meantime, this was from someone bought the Violator Crafty. Remember that one I did a while back? So
Yeah.
I did that one, and he bought that, and so he got a custom sketch of any comic character he wanted, and this is what he picked. So this is what we shall be drawing. Let's see here. Where did I put it? Where did I put the crafty?
You've never done a Natalie Portman Thor.
Well, it's not Natalie Portman, but
I know it's female Thor, but like
yeah,
whatever. It's a joke, right?
yeah. So I've never, and I still will not be drawing a Natalie Portman.
Maybe when I do a commission one day. Can I get a Natalie Portman Thor, please?
Don't bet on it. I wouldn't put much on that. All right. So make sure I got my reference open here, cause fuck, I remember what this.
So what about that
Oh, we were talking earlier about the Nintendo Switch, right? And I was saying, like, Wesley and I were chatting about on the cast the other way about how, like, we're just a couple weeks out, 2 weeks out from launch, and we still don't really know what's in the fucking thing. Like, like, nobody knows. Like, there's, you know, guessed specs. Like, people have been guessing, well, we think it's this, and it's a version of the Tegra or whatever. And
Yeah, I've got that that spec sheet up. So I can speak to that a little bit. Well, I can speak to that regarding what the tech sheet says.
yeah,
Also,
so break it down.
Having worked at Microsoft during the alpha and beta development of the Xbox One, and somehow we knew what the PS4 had inside of it as well. That's why they had pretty matching specs.
Minus the RAM and multiple processors.
Actually, I mean, technically,
Don't defend it.
I'm not
Xbox One
defending.
is using the unified fucking
but,
memory, and I know a thing or two about that,
but
dog.
I know.
Unified
What I'm
memory
saying
is junk science.
they were trying to match as best they could
Without spending money.
So what it looks like,
Clever
according
girl.
to the rumored specs here, where PS4 and Xbox One definitely went the same route, was an AMD 8-thread processor. Whether it's 8 threads or 8 cores, doesn't matter. It's still 8 threads, no matter how you look at it. Clock speed kind of really doesn't matter. Where the Switch looks like they're using an ARM processor. Right now, it's considered the Cortex A57.
Explain to people what's an ARM processor. What does that mean? ARM. What is that?
ARM Cortex A57. ARM is the architecture itself. It's the physical architecture of the processor. Technically, it's a 64-bit mobile processor.
It's a mobile processor.
Yeah, so
like the Integra.
Yeah, it's made to be a much smaller processor, use much less wattage, produce much less heat. So it's basically a beefy phone processor or a small tablet processor. which is smart, because with the amount of power you can get out of CPUs nowadays, it's really not a bad idea considering the Xbox One and the PS4 were using full CPUs, nothing designed for mobile at all. It's strictly a computer CPU they were using.
Because other than that guy Ben, what's his face, who fucking converts them all into portable totes, everyone's keeping it by their piece or their TV, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's why you have the portability of the Switch, is because it has essentially a super beefy cell phone / tablet processor in it. And ARM's been around for a long time.
Yeah, but I don't think it's. I mean, they've been saying it's like some custom version, right? So it's probably some like
Well, the
tailored.
firmware might be a custom version, but the hardware is going to be the same. So they'll probably put their spin on the firmware of it and how that works. But the fact that it's just a 64-bit ARM V8A 64-bit processor, yeah, it's just a chunky mobile processor. Where are the specs? Come on, kill me here. So that's well, I'll get the specs later. It doesn't matter. What else are they saying? Now they're saying they're using an NVIDIA GPU versus since they were using the AMD Jaguar Proc, they're using the AMD/ATI shaders, or whatever AMD/ATI uses as their processing cores. We call them CUDA for NVIDIA, but this has got 256 CUDA cores. But that's rumor, so we don't know if that's the amount of cores. We don't know what megahertz speed those cores are going at. But
Negative megahertz.
negative.
Negative, yeah.
Negative 1156 or whatever. So that's still a chunk of processing power. If everybody remembers, we used to use all the CUDA information, all the CUDA stuff to do like protein folding.
I don't know what you're talking about. What's CUDA?
CUDA was after they made the GPUs, when they started making the 88 GTXs, we're talking 10 years ago. They started doing, instead of a singular GPU that did math, they started splitting them up into these smaller CUDA cores that they could do it's like when we went to a multi-core or multi-threaded processor, same idea, but they would make these smaller cores. So, for example, the 1080 GTX, the biggest video card on the market right now, has something around 2056 CUDA cores running at 900 megahertz. So that's 2056 essentially processor threads.
Are you talking about like that at home thing, like the PlayStation 3 was doing?
Yeah,
Was it
remember
soft
the
cancer
folding
or
at
something?
home?
Yeah, is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that,
This is all
that was
theoretical horsepower.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
but
real
that was
horsepower.
with the folding at home with the PS3. That was because they had the cell processor, and the cell processor worked differently. But with CUDA cores, basically, if this has 256 NVIDIA CUDA, so that would mean that they're using 256 NVIDIA CUDA cores. So that would basically be 256 small NVIDIA processors. So
What does that mean?
that
Other than you have
means
256 of them.
you have 256 threads, 256 lanes of traffic that can do math for you. Your best processor on the market now has 16 threads to do math, right? So this is 256. That's how they split up the new GPUs. Is they figured out how to make a lot of really small processors on the same chip instead of one big chip. So it yields a lot more horsepower, essentially.
With less heat?
Yeah, less heat, less power consumption, closer lithography, which is the amount of nanometers transistors are, how close they are together. So right now, I think it's down to like 14 nanometers is how close they can be together on this one. And then they have a specific, so it's a lower clock speed, um, but you have a lot more of them. So it's like a bigger, wider brain versus, you know, these these big, giant single GPU units that the Xbox One and the PS4 are using. So it's kind of actually it's kind of ingenious, now that I'm looking at what these supposed specs are. They're using a really heavy duty mobile CPU, and then they're using a cut down version of a really, really good efficient GPU that we use in our video cards already. But I'm wondering if they're able to do that because I think Xbox One or like Microsoft and Sony kind of got in bed with AMD to get a lower discount on the hardware. Because it never made any sense to me that they used AMD hardware.
The PS4 and
The
Xbox
PS3
One.
was cell shade,
Yeah, but
or the cell,
PS4. I'm talking PS4 and Xbox One both use
and the
AMD.
360
And the
are all
360.
AMD.
Okay.
Yeah, are all AMD. They stay away from Intel and NVIDIA the entire time, which are it's the more expensive hardware, flat out, no matter what.
Right.
But that's probably why they're able to restrict it to 720, but maintain 30. Well, are they even talking about frame rates or
60 frames per
FPS
second.
yet? They're talking about 60 FPS.
Yeah, 60.
At 720, if they have 256 CUDA cores at 720, I could totally see that. And this thing, they're saying it only has 4 gigs of RAM, which is probably going to be different.
Is that unified RAM? It scares Rob. Unified RAM.
It just has memory.
Unified RAM scares me ever since the Nintendo 64, maybe even the Sega Saturn. I think had the same. Don't quote me on the Saturn. I know I had the Saturn had the multiprocessor. That's the first time I learned about assembly and the idea of multiprocessors. That we'll put these two 32-bit or these two 16-bit CPUs in the machine, and if you sync them just right, you'll get 32 bits of power. And what you really get is a bit hunking piece of shit that fucking takes for fucking ever, never fucking works. You know what I mean? The goddamn 32X beats the living snot out of it because it's a fucking dedicated GPU, motherfucking. And then they reiterated that fucking nonsense for the Nintendo 64. It ships with, a full megabyte of RAM, but it's got to divvy up across the entire system. So, but if they do it just right, I'm like, oh shit. I always hear the Adam Sandler voice when they start talking technical nonsense. If you take it just right, you can get, like that fucking baby voice.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Australia, what's up, Caesar? You got the same mechanical pencil. Yeah, it works, right? It's nice. It's got a nice little grip. Yeah. Mine's nice and worn down a little bit, so it's not cheese grating my fucking fingers. It turns your fingers into Parmesan. You can go, nice skin to go over my fucking commissions there. But yeah, I hate that stuff, dude, because it's like it never works. And even now, like I just read an interview with Nintendo. The guy that helped spearhead a lot of the technical side of the Nintendo 64 and working with the Silicon SGI, and they're basically SGI sold them on a bill of fucking nonsense with that theoretical fucking science, and the person who signed off on it was Miyamoto, and he said at the time Nintendo, you just got it was Square, I know what it was, Polygon did a fucking badass interview for the anniversary of Final Fantasy. It was like last month. You should dig it up. And they're talking with the guys who were there because they were, the original Final Fantasy VII was supposed to be on Nintendo 64, and they built that weird 3D tech demo to kind of see what that would look like, and they didn't go that direction. And the guy over at Square was like, you got the sense that Miyamoto just went on a gut instinct, and there was no real, he just kind of we'll just go that way because, seems cool. And he was like, it was fucking, we tried to warn him, he's like, we tried to warn him, they didn't want to listen.
Do you want to do a quick um, explain to me like I'm five unified RAM explanation for
So the
anybody
idea
that's
is,
not?
so normally the way that, like, let's just talk about PlayStation 1 versus Nintendo 64, right? So PlayStation 1 has RAM that has a megabyte of video RAM, specifically to video graphics processing. Plus, it has internal memory for the CPU to use, and memories was memory for. It's to retain a function, right? So if I'm got Photoshop open and I got fucking the internet open and Pandora, I got enough RAM, it can keep all those things running in RAM as a scratch disk in memory. And when it runs out of RAM, it's got to use your hard drive, like on a PC. You know, on a console back in the day, there was no way that we're gonna fucking dump. When you run out of memory, it just stops.
Yep.
So, like, so one of the theories, so rather than having dedicated RAM to save money, these with the 64, they thought you could use this unified RAM. So it's less RAM, or it's maybe even RAM, or maybe more RAM. However it works out, it's a certain amount of RAM that would then be up to the developer to figure out where they're going to apply that RAM, right? So in theory that works, because if you like got a game that's graphically intensive, you can apply more RAM to graphics and less RAM to fucking whatever AI, right, or sound. The problem is that everyone's basically writing their own. It's like building everyone having to build their fucking playground, you know, over and over. And if you know anything about software development, Mike, maybe you've heard of this software development. Um,
A little bit.
Optimization is like
Yeah.
9/10 of the fucking game in software
Yeah.
development. I mean, most games are actually working in the first few months on some level, but optimizing it, whew, you know, like this is where engines like the Unreal Engine 4 comes in, where it's nice. You got an already fully optimized engine. All the devs work there. You got technical support that can walk you through when you pay the money, you know, all sorts of shit. And so when you're having to constantly fucking play this optimization game with the hardware, just to get it to do things like, I don't know, music, you know, like it's fucking,
Work.
yeah, you're spending all your time not making the game. You're just spending your time trying to get the fucking thing to run. And maybe your team doesn't have the fucking world's greatest. How many fucking programmers were there in 1996 that could do that? You know, and even now, how many are there? So when the
Yeah.
Xbox One, when I hear them going unified RAM, to me, it's they just don't want to spend the money on putting RAM in the system. You know, and that you'll be able to get performance through optimization. And to me, that's theoretical performance. Like some people will get it. You know, like I'm sure if Naughty Dog produced a game on the fucking Xbox One, they'll get the performance. You know, but most won't. And the real tricks for optimization will be left to first party exclusive insider info.
Yeah, there's a part of that optimization is a fun little thing we like to call garbage collection, where you're trashing what you're not using or you don't need. But that's only done in the optimization portion of development. So when you've already made your release candidate and you're ready to release, like right before that, that's when you go, okay, let's do an optimization pass and start fine tuning the game or the app to trash whatever it doesn't need. And this kind of sounds like a lazy way out, and it wouldn't shock me if they did that. But yeah, it's that's a weird way to go.
I would understand why they would want to on a mobile platform, right? Because like your phone, but even does my Samsung have unified RAM? You know, I
I
don't
think
really
it really
follow
depends on
mobile.
the application.
What's in the hardware though? Is the hardware a set of RAM that the whole phone shares, or is there dedicated RAM and
No,
memory?
no, it's at this point, any piece of equipment you're going to pick up is going to have one chunk of RAM, and how it uses it is how the OS uses it and how the application uses it, and that's just
So
up to those
maybe
two
maybe
things.
these days in terms of mobile development, it makes a lot of sense. But when you're like I mean, guys, in a week or two here, or actually in a week or two. No, okay, in
2 weeks.
months. In months. So whenever the fuck E3 is in June, right?
Oh, E3.
So yeah, in June, in the next 6 months, Microsoft's gonna announce another system. The
Is
fucking
that something I need to write
Scorpio. It's
down?
the Scorpio, right? The
Oh,
4K
Scorpio. Okay.
Xbox One. The world's most powerful system. That's what they're already calling it, bro.
Yeah, except for a PC.
You know, and it's just like I guarantee it doesn't have unified RAM.
Oh, probably not.
You
They're
know,
gonna probably give it 16 gigs though, because Xbox One already has 8, and so does PS4. What interests me a great deal is I've never had a Wii. I've never had a Wii U. You have both. Um, you have the Nintendo Store thing, the equivalent to Xbox and PS. So when you're
in
downloading
theory.
games, well,
In
okay, but
that,
you have a bunch of stuff that you have on your Wii U, right?
yeah,
A bunch of games. Okay, how much room are you taking up?
not much. I don't buy much on the Nintendo stores.
If you bought a lot, how much room do you think it would take up?
Well, I mean, games alone are gigs, so I think
Games alone are gigs.
yeah. Well, games are like what, 12 gigs, 10 gigs, 6 gigs, eight
Well,
gigs
I
a
mean,
game.
which games are we talking? Older
Well, if you're
games or
buying a
new
full
games?
game, like if you're buying the digital version, see, I have where I've spent the most amount of money in the V store, whatever the E store, whatever the fuck they call it, the E shop, is on my 3DS.
Yeah,
I've spent the most money there. I buy a lot of the digital games, and I got that 64 fucking gigabyte SD card I just back up to.
yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. I don't know if I have 64 gigs of space on my Wii U because I'll never buy enough to test that theory. I don't know what it shipped with. Mine shipped with 32 gigs, and then there's probably like an available 21.2. You know
So
what I mean?
are you talking about the Switch?
No, the Wii U.
Okay, well, the Switch they're saying 32 gig flash, micro SD
Yeah,
expandable.
yeah, that makes sense.
So they're
And
gonna give the Switch the same amount of space the Wii U did
yeah, but you can
have.
also use those crazy super expensive micro SD cards. They're fucking super expensive. Like it supports up to 256 gigs. I'm like, they cost more than the system. They're like 400 fucking dollars.
Really? For the
Yeah,
micro SDs?
the ones that they support, yeah, they're like the super high performance ones.
The Class 10s?
I don't know, man. I know I went to Amazon, typed the same ones in, and they were like $200-300. It was almost the
I'm
cost of the
gonna
entire.
okay, then I'm gonna give you something when I get to good old Idaho. Because I have a micro SD that I don't use. And we're gonna stick it in your Switch and we're gonna make sure it
Careful how you
works.
word that, buddy. Careful, careful.
I'm gonna stick my micro SD in your Switch,
Yeah,
and
I
you're gonna
think
like it.
Brandon was on the line.
Yeah.
Normally
Hey
he makes
Brandon, what
those
can you say about
mistakes.
that?
Normally he
Uh,
makes those mistakes. Yeah.
no, I have a 200 gig micro SD that I
Oh, nice.
literally don't use. I'm
Yeah,
not
that
even
would
kidding.
definitely help. Because
Yeah.
I
Okay. Well.
will end up because what I plan on using the Switch to put like indie games and stuff on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I mean I want ukulele on there. I want fucking Wonder Boy.
Yeah.
So
So when we get down, or when I get down there, I will. It's already. I'm pretty sure it's already formatted because I haven't even fucking used the goddamn thing. We'll put it in your Switch. There should be zero reasons why I can't read a 200 gig micro SD I got a year and a half ago. I'm not saying it's a class 10, but it's still a decent micro SD. So we'll test that out and then we'll leave it
yeah.
in there and then you'll have 200 gigs.
Yay. Thanks, Mike. But I'm just not a fan of theoretical optimization. You know, I like pure like let's just give fucking stats that make sense when it comes to technology.
Well, do you think that's a hangover of like consoles or just kind of that time period?
I,
Because that time period was more like, oh, you're gonna get this, but like, are you? Like there was a lot of spouting of things because we had
I think it's
Saturn.
engineering hyperbole. I think it's. I mean, look, I used to do security. When my father, one of the sites that we used to do all the time was for these microchip fucking companies. He's super eggheads. You go in there on a Saturday, it's all super smart fucking Asian dudes, and maybe like two girls in there. This is like in the mid '90s, right? And nothing but equations on all the board and fucking trail nut mix bars everywhere and shit. You know, they got the clean room they're in. Where you gotta like all the processors are in there, and
Yeah.
so like, and I've watched them like. You could hear the arguments in the room, over just the hubris, like, oh, if you do this, if you just do that, no, 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 I'm on nerd speak, can't fucking understand anything they're saying. I loved hearing it, but I'm like, I can't do that, But I know they come up with some proprietary fucking thing, and it's almost like in science. If it works, they stand to reap the fucking benefit of it, right?
Yeah, but you got that death word proprietary in there.
Yeah, that's the
That,
word no one likes, right? Like,
that kills everything, man.
it's. And in console development, what has helped consoles more than anything
Was
is
being shitty PCs.
no, what's help. Well, exclusive content helps, but in terms of development, is when they finally moved over the ability to support third-party engines. I think is an under fucking rated advancement, like very important. Because anytime, especially like Japanese developers, which are just now starting to get on this fucking bandwagon,
I was gonna say,
anytime they make a game,
didn't they like not like that a lot?
well, anytime, no, now they're learning their lesson. Even Nintendo's like, we love it. Ever since I read a whole thing on how like Epic set up the shop in Japan with they had one guy, and his whole job was to go and convince Japanese developers to move to this. And he's like, oh, fucking tough. Took years, and and he is Japanese. Anyhow, the thing about it is, anytime they would go to make a new game, they'd have to make a new engine. Every fucking time, dude. Even on the same platform. So, hey, we made Final Fantasy 12, or we made Final Fantasy 10. We're going to make Final Fantasy 12. We build a new engine. That's why fucking shit takes 5 years out of Japanese developers. And they're like, we got to stop this nonsense. And I think what helped
Yeah.
push them out of that was mobile games, because
Yeah.
Japan loves their mobile. And, and at a certain point, like the heart, it just doesn't make, you could start to reuse the same engine pretty quickly, to get better results out. Now, I think there's also a downside to that, right? Where, it's that, like that developer in Steam Greenlight who decides to fucking clip art his entire assets. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go buy all these pre-made models. I fucking instagame.com and make a fucking Steam Greenlight. And just, everyone's like, you dick. It's already downvoted before it even gets announced and shit. Like, it's hilarious. But that idea of the multiple processor, it's never worked, man. And look at the Xbox One; it has weak performance. Your performance is weak, Lebowski. Like it's just not good. Like I don't care what anybody says. It's a joke, and they did it because for some fucking reason, every time a developer in this industry hits their third fucking console, they get stupid. Every company has done it. Nintendo did it with the 64. Sony did it with the PS3. You had to get a second job doing, they fucking own the system. $600 at launch. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember going to Fry's with Brando, and we spent $930 on his PS3.
It's ridiculous. The power of the cell architecture. I just hear that Lawrence. I hear Lawrence Fishburne. I hear Forrest Whitaker from Rogue One. Don't forget the power of the sound of the dream. The folding at home. The emotion engine. Remember that one? The emotion engine on PS2.
Oh Jesus!
Remember that
What
nonsense?
was that? Oh no! What was that stupid penny one that we kept joking about?
MMX.
MMX commercial.
And I was like, MMX. I'm like, so basically, this is you guys trying to get out of people spending money on a Voodoo FX card. Well,
Yeah,
I'm like,
dude, it
that's.
was big
I didn't know
old
how to word it, but that's how I worded it. And poor fucking the guy was a rep at fucking Fry's. You know what I mean? Like at the time, I figured they knew their shit. You know, if you worked there, you had to like, know stuff, take a test. Like they don't fucking know anything. They just took a job. They gotta sell shit. So I'm down there fucking with him. You know, I'm like 19. I'm 18,
Oh, yeah,
and
no,
I'm like
I've
doing
done
the
that a few
fucking
times.
math on his shitty fucking MMX. You know, and I'm like, if you just get a Voodoo FX card, you fucking, you
MX.
know, just some way because no one wants to get the, you know, we want to tell people they don't have to spend money on a Voodoo FX card. Just buy a Voodoo FX card. And fuck this. This is MMX. You know, it's got a rainbow on the sticker and shit. Does it have blast processing? You know, that's what I threw out at him. You know, he laughed.
Yeah, you remember in Hackers, Angelina Jolie's like, risk processing is going to change the world. And I was like, that was around for about 9 months.
Yeah,
But
well, that was because SGI, right, made the RISC processors, and SGI spent the money in that movie. You know, weird part was they showed the PlayStation that fucking thing, which didn't use their RISC processors.
yeah, right.
That's the irony. It should have had the Nintendo 64 in there. But guess which one looked like the future and which one didn't? You know? And man, I love my 64. I mean, I got into the MIP mapping, Z buffering. You know what I mean? I got into all that tech shit. I didn't know what the fuck it meant. I always had to memorize the fucking descriptions. You know? They used to have this technical poster you can get when they were on the desk at every fucking place it sold. They were at Fry's. It was this fold out thing, was all like in rainbow kind of colors, you know, and it was like the blueprints of the Nintendo 64 and all the interior, you know, hardware and all the labels, you know. And this does MIP mapping and this does fucking anti-aliasing and this is, you know, all this stuff. And I'd read it off. And this guy that I worked with at Playco at the time, his toy company, he's an older guy. He's sort of in Vietnam. He was way into tech. He was looking at me. He's like, Nintendo fucking kid, man. You know, he's playing Command and Conquer with full motion video, and I'm like, Star Fox has voices. He's like, oh wow, that's fucking amazing. Like, you know,
Dude, MMX.
so then it
Yeah,
became,
it's.
for me, the 64 became a thing about, I'm going to cut you off, but the 64 became a thing about what they could do despite the system's limitations.
Oh, yeah.
Like, instead of
Yeah,
it being the
the
most badass thing
conceit of the
ever,
64.
yeah, for me, it became like the Amiga Club, right? Because it was very similar to an Amiga in terms of its architecture. So, like, you get these developers who'd be like Factor 5 showed up and be like, we did this. We added fucking 5.1 surround sound and MIDI. And you're like, holy shit, it can do MIDI. And you're like, so what? Like, can it play Video Toaster too? Like, I mean, you know,
No, but you can pull Mario's nose.
you know, that was a whole nother. That was supposed to be for Mario Paint. They were
Wasn't
making a
that, was that
3D.
a tech demo?
It was initially going to be they were making basically what Mario Maker is. They were going to make something like that for animation, and you can make a little Mario game on the Nintendo CDI that they were making with Sony, and
Yeah.
that was going to be part of this whole thing. And they, since that scrapped it, they just put it in the front of the game.
It's amazing what they do with tech demos. They did that with Kinect Star Wars. I don't know if you ever remember that gem.
Yeah, I was at E3 laughing at it, like through the glass, because they had all the
When
Kinect games through glass, right? So
do you remember the
hold on.
people dancing?
Yeah, well, hold on. So the Microsoft booth at E3 here was a circle like this, right? And around the edges, it was all glass. And then you go into this little circle, it looked like fucking Discovery Zone in there, right? And they would be like, you'd go round robin. You go into one room, and then you try this Connect thing, and then you go to the next room and try this. They go all the way around. So I could follow the same people going through, and I'd laugh at them, you know? Ah, yeah, you look so stupid.
Everyone who's listening right now, I tested these games at Microsoft that he's currently making fun of, and he should be. And I'm gonna give him a funny story.
I'll tell it, man, because that was a fun E3.
Dude, oh, God, that game was the biggest pile of garbage. No, they if anybody's ever played it, I don't know if anybody's listening has ever played it. They have a you can be a Rancor
The
and run
only thing that was
around.
legitimately interesting about that demo is that you could be a Rancor and pretend like you're fucking Godzilla stomping around Mos Eisley.
Yeah, and stomping around and just
Yeah, that
destroy the
was
village.
the only thing
Uh,
I came back on. That part looked kind of fun, but that's a piece of
and
shit.
oh, dude. Yeah, no, it's bad. So that Rancor game was an original Godzilla tech
That's
demo
hilarious. It really was a
for the
Godzilla game.
Kinect. It was a Godzilla tech demo, and they were just scraping for content for that game. And so they
Which
brought
is
that
crazy
in.
because look, even with the minimal tracking the Kinect could do, you could imagine a pod racer game where you could have just done like this, motion to maybe pod race or
Well, it had the finger quoting pod racer game in it, which is very buggy. And that was actually the funnest part. Um, no, that's how you controlled it. I remember
oh,
you're
okay.
like a 8 second delay behind me.
They
Uh,
didn't have the that up at the E3. They had the Rancor part. They had the Lando dancing thing. That was ridiculous.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So the Lando dancing thing, I had to do that for like a month. Get it out now. For like a month straight. Uh, but but
It was fabulous, right? Like,
I,
right?
I I hope anybody listening right now has played this. We had a tool for the Kinect, an internal tool that was built that you could record the skeletal tracking, right? So I learned it. I learned the dancing. This is embarrassing. I learned the dancing, and then I recorded myself doing the dancing. So anytime I had to test it, I would just play the recording and sit at my desk. Because I was like, I'm not fucking dancing every day with Lando. Look at us, dude. And the music. If I ever hear it again, I'll probably lose my mind. But it was a bad testing experience.
I think they showed off that Disneyland game that didn't actually recreate Disneyland. It was just a bunch of mini games.
I worked on that
And
too.
Dave's byline in the issue was for the kid who has nothing. Like,
Basically, yeah. No,
yeah.
they that game had a 9-month development cycle, start to finish.
As Michael
9 months.
Rappaport would say, no shit. Like,
Yeah. By the end of it, we had 65 people on night crew working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to shit that turd out.
yeah, it's bad, man.
And there was nothing we could do.
Nothing says family entertainment like the crowding around the Windows PC as a family.
Oh yeah,
You know?
it was.
Love it when Microsoft tries to pretend like they're family friendly. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
We like
Stop
your
it.
family. Give me your money. Yeah, no, that was a hell project too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the fact that we have somewhat innovation within technology, where it's like Nintendo's pushing Microsoft, and everyone's pumping out turds when it comes to.
They gotta focus on content, dog. I'm the least
That's
interested at this point in
yeah, you're
hardware.
no, you're totally correct. Like find the form. That's why like the Wii was really popular, even at 480 was the content was
I
fun.
hated
You
the
had bowling,
waggle.
you had baseball, blah blah
I
blah.
hated the waggle.
The what?
I bought into the Wii and the waggle. What I thought the Wii was gonna be is what the Vive does with those wands. Where it's just one to one. I can move a controller in 3-dimensional space and
Yeah, I
reach
thought it
out.
was
Like, I mean, I didn't have that frame of mind to it wasn't the lexicon for that knowledge of 3-dimensional controllers, right?
yeah.
But the idea of immersion, right, was that's what I was being sold on, was this idea that you'll be able to have a form of immersion with games that go beyond pressing buttons. I'll be able to reach out and become part of the game, you know. So VR before VR in a way, right? And the Wii
Sure.
was the first time I saw someone that, like, there was this guy on the net who hacked in head tracking. It's the first time I see motion tracking, right? Where he set it up so that when you move your head, the camera would go the other direction. So you get this 3-dimensional. It's on your fucking 3DS now, you know. He hacked into the fucking Wii, and I was like, I'm looking at that, and now when I think about the Wii, what I was thinking about with this VR was basically a VR system without VR, right? And so what it turned into was, you know what I mean? Like, it was the most expensive extreme version of whack-a-mole ever made. You know,
Yeah.
every game was like whack-a-mole. You know, it was like whack my wallet with the fucking $50 surcharge for Excite trucks. It's fucking ridiculous. You know, and it was the worst part of gaming. The thing I hated when I was a kid, I used to say, you'd always get this person who'd come over. Usually it was your girlfriend or your, a non-gamer would come over. You'd hand them the controller from Mario Kart or in my case Rad Racer, and when they started to suck or when they play Mario, they try to move the controller to get Mario to jump more. I'm like, you move that controller all you want, it's not gonna help move them, dumbass. Like you gotta actually time the fucking buttons. But with the
Oh
Wii, it
yeah.
was like I can make it move more. I'm like, they actually made the system for that person, the person who's not playing games. You
Yeah, and
know,
it worked.
uh, okay, it worked in that it sold a lot of hardware. In the
That's what I mean.
games
It worked.
library, it will be less revered long term than the GameCube. You know, it has
I'll
Mario
agree.
Galaxy 1 and 2, and like that's it. Skyward Sword's a raging piece of shit. The Smash Brothers games is just forgettable. Mario Kart on that was stupid with the wheel, to the point where anytime that wheel shows up in Wii U, because they show you what controller everyone's using, then they still support the wheel, the floaty pretend I'm driving wheel. When someone shows up with that, everyone's like, "Oh no, this fucking guy."
Good old Wii. Yeah, definitely. I think content, as you were saying earlier, I think content will probably
I want the
win
games. I want the games. So probably I want
the
the
VR
games.
race.
Yeah, VR needs games. It needs content. So my
Well,
buddy
and
was
VR doesn't need 40-hour games. Doesn't need 20-hour games. It needs 6 to 10 hour games. That's not going to make you sick every time you
that
play
are
them.
broken into 30. The game's got to be treated more like TV episodes, 30 to 40-minute segments.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. It's developers and producers are going to have to relearn how to make
you
content.
you want to know what it reminds me of the most? It reminds me
Huh.
when CD-ROMs first showed up on consoles, and they thought they were just going to stuff it with video. That's what everyone, like they're trying to apply these weird
Oh
rules to the
God, when we got
format.
those games with you'd hit the cutscene and cutscene it'd
Yeah,
load a video.
Sewer Shark and fucking CNC Music Factory. Remember that fucking wonderful piece of you know? Who wants to make a music video for fun? I'm like, well, apparently YouTube. Like, you were just 20 years behind or ahead of this fucking.
Yeah, yeah. I I'm not seeing it a lot now. I mean, maybe you said Resident Evil's what, 10 hours?
Yeah, about 10 hours.
Yeah, that feels about right.
I think games should focus on quality and not quantity. I've said this before. Portal is a 4-hour game. You don't need to charge. You could charge 40 for it and make it 4 hours, and it's a fucking fantastic experience. They dragged that out. The first Bioshock, they could have eliminated a third of that game, charged a little bit less, and it would have been. But they're like, we're going to keep the 60, so they just shove in more stuff that doesn't need to be there. I say leave that extra stuff that you can refine it for DLC down the way if you're so inclined to do so.
Yeah,
But
Nintendo hasn't even released Breath of the Wild, and they already are talking about DLC
I have
that
a theory
spans a
about that.
year.
I have a theory about that DLC they're talking about.
Well, let's scuff
I
it a
I
little
would
bit
not.
then.
I'm willing to put money down that DLC, the one that's the second one that features a story. They said the first one's like a bunch of bullshit, but the second one's supposed to be a new dungeon with the story.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to play as Zelda.
You heard it here first, folks.
That's what I would be willing to put the money down on. That's a fucking playable
Writing it
Zelda.
down now.
Because they already talked about how they said they'd experiment with Zelda being the protagonist. But for the main game, maybe not. But for DLC, I think that's where they would do it.
And that was the second one that was because they had 3 different launch dates, right?
Huh?
The DLC it didn't
There's
all come out
two.
at once. They had 3 different launch
Yeah,
dates,
there's
right?
one in the summer, one in the fall.
So this would be the summer DLC.
It's $20 for flat, and you get both. There's no way
Summer
to buy
DLC.
separate.
You play as Zelda. Okay, it's written down. It wouldn't shock me if they did that. And it wouldn't be the first time they've allowed you to play Zelda either.
It'd be a good reason to buy it. You go, I'm never going to buy it. Zelda! And then, like, there. Fucking they got me to buy it. It's Nintendo making the DLC. What I don't like is when they outsource the DLC to some other fucking company, like all the Arkham Knight DLC, and it's clearly not the guys who made the game. And some fucking
Oh, not
rejects.
Rocksteady?
Yeah, it's some rejects making the fucking shit. Some guy that used to make fucking the guys who had to make the fake Call of Duty game in between the Call of Duty games at Activision. You get the real one, then you get that Call of Duty Western Front. And it's some fucking Tony Hawk's fucking Grand
Yeah,
Adventure.
here you guys can practice. Well, I mean, I'm surprised they even did it. So
I'm not. They need to make money.
like,
And
they're not going to make a McFucking shitload.
but here's the thing: they already had Season Pass on the Wii U with Hyrule Warriors. So like,
Hyrule Warriors was a reskin Dynasty.
yeah,
Warriors.
but they had DLC for it, and people bought it. I did. I got a fucking retro Link sword. It was cool, and and on the 3DS you can get fucking like Toon Link and shit. It was cool. So what they can't do is shortchange the main game for DLC. That's really the problem with DLC is that when you get the companies like Ubisoft or Activision shortchanging the main experience, dragging out, cutting content to then make you pay extra for it. If they're gonna fucking make extra content, like I bought all the DLC for Mario Kart 8. You know why? Because it was fucking fantastic and reasonably priced.
Yeah.
The Hyrule fucking pack with the horse fucking cycle and the Hyrule levels and shit. Well done, dude. The game was a full experience, so that's how you do it. I'd rather they be able to support a game. I'd rather they support a game that way than fucking stop making new content and make me wait another 5 years for the next version. I mean,
5 years, come on.
Yeah, dude, it's forever, man. It's like making Game Cave. I mean, what's the excuse? I'm always willing to throw myself under the bus, dog. Never forget that.
Right under.
Yeah, right under. I like that sound.
Kind of reminds me of Heath Ledger, the Joker, coming out of the hospital and hitting the trigger, and he's like,
Yeah,
smacking it and starts blowing up, and he's like, oh shit.
Blow myself up here. I'm not beyond it.
Oh man. 1, 2. No, it's not even that far away. I forgot to keep looking at something. MMX. God, I forgot that it was the P2 A slot processor. It was so weird.
If you get this MMX, you can play Myst. I'm like, it can play Myst now. It fucking runs in DOS. Like, I mean, are you kidding me, dude?
Myst.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that brings back the feels.
What about Carmageddon? Voodoo. Get the Voodoo. It's way better.
My first Voodoo card was a secondary card, and it was 2 megs.
Oh my gosh.
2 megs of video memory. I couldn't believe how it looked at like 320. Oh, that's right. They're
Hey, what's up, Johnny?
Oh snap! What's up?
Perler Mike. That's your name now. Perler
Well,
Mike.
yeah. Well, if it's gonna be Perler Mike, there's no A there, bro. It's Perler. Earler.
Perler pearls are forever.
Yeah. That's how many people know me as Perler Mike? So what I'm curious about is no physical networking port, which is fine because I mean, really, who hardlines their consoles anymore? Um, but on the same token, doesn't show you the Wi-Fi capabilities. It'd be nice to know. No power consumption and no audio ports. So,
Even by audio ports.
like Xbox One and PS4 have an optical out, an optional
No,
optical
you know
out.
it's a condensed cable, dude. They always do those condensed cables. It's all gonna go through HDMI. Not gonna have
I
optical
mean,
out. It'll be
as it
HDMI.
should.
It'll be HDMI all the way, dude. And
I
there'll
wonder if
probably
they can
some.
do like a mini
They'll
HDMI and
probably
like
no. What they'll do is they'll do a regular HDMI, and then what they'll do is they'll have that Nintendo HDMI to fucking optical converters thing you can
oh
get.
god,
You know that's what they do, bro.
like the same fucking.
So if you really need that, you can go buy the.
If you don't have coax going into TV, you can get
It'll be
this.
like $30 cable too.
Yeah. Oh, Nintendo and your perips. Well, I only have to wait, like,
3 weeks.
yeah, like 3.5 weeks. So we sold all the things.
Oh no, because when we get that fucking rig running, I want to try Euro Truck. I got Euro Truck Simulator I bought on Steam. I haven't played it yet, but it's VR compatible. So I want to see if we can get the Euro Truck Simulator VR
It's
work.
literally going to be throwing in a video card, booting it, putting the OS on, and then
But Euro Truck Simulator, we're just gonna all fucking. We can just Ace Ventura our way through across the whole. Just throw a whole. I found this one racing game. I got it to work once, and it was supporting the DK too. So I drove like with my head out the window, just doing loop de loops. I was like, yeah, just because I never want to do that in my own car. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I won't. Yeah.
it'd be a little bit harder in the Mazda. Mazda's not rear-wheel drive. Plus, I don't know how much room you have in Idaho anymore. I've never been there. Also, I've never been to Mos Eisley either. I'm kind of sad I never got to see the sweltering heat box.
Yeah. Well, says you.
Yeah.
Everyone who's been there's like, you didn't miss. Ask Kyle, Brandon, Chris. You know, no one. It's not an
You missed shit, bro.
exaggeration. Whatever you think of, oh, maybe Rob's fucking no.
I know. I just like,
I don't miss it.
I just want to experience to be like,
I
wow.
got negative 15 degrees during the winter here, and I was like, oh, so nice.
I got down to 24 in downtown Seattle.
Yeah.
You know what the weird part is? Well, okay, I'm not downtown. I'm Cap Hill, so I'm like the edge of downtown,
Mhm.
but I'm still 400 feet above sea level, where downtown is at sea level. So,
What's weird about that? I don't understand.
I mean, because like it's got hills, and you're like, oh, okay, you're going up hills, whatever. Like you don't really think about it. When you go to the outskirts, like Bellevue and Redmond, like where you and I were hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
was lower than where I am now, but only by like 200 feet.
I suppose you have to live there to care.
It's you're not wrong. It's
I
just
think you
interesting.
find this interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's weird, I've lived here my entire life in all of these different places, so yeah, it's weird that I could literally be half a mile from waterfront, which is sea level,
Hmm.
and yet still be the same height as Bellevue, where I, grew up half my life.
Hmm.
That's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's hills. Hills. Hills interest me. There, are you happy?
Lothar from the Hill People.
Hill people. Have you watched Legion yet?
Nope.
Me either. You planning to?
Yeah, it's just I'll get around to it. It's not high on my list right now. I got a couple anime to get caught up on, and I've got to get through Fargo season 2 before Iron Fist starts.
Ooh, good thinking.
So, but I will watch it. I like Noah Hockley from Fargo. Put that together, and I hear it's one of those. It's a show that seems to completely impress people or piss people off, which is generally the kind of stuff I like to watch. So, um, but I know it's a show I'll have to watch on my own. 'Cause I don't think my wife's gonna give a shit. So, Legion was always a weird character anyway, man.
That's why I'm kind of curious as to why they're. I mean, it makes sense as the why they would
Because
make
Fox has
it.
the rights, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Fox has Legion.
Yeah, it's X-Men.
Oh fuck! Like what did they buy when they bought X-Men?
Everything.
Serious?
Yeah, the only thing they have to share is merchandising. So Marvel doesn't promote. It's a whole thing, the merchandising. Matter of fact, if you really want to understand it, I think they covered it pretty well. Collider put out a video not too long ago explaining the merchandising rights, how they're tied up, and how that works out. But basically, to save Marvel to save itself from complete bankruptcy, I mean, they basically sold the X-Men to Fox and Spider-Man to Sony, but it was all for the movies and television and all the shit that they didn't think. They thought it'd be quick cash. They didn't foresee.
Didn't they only sell Disney for like 80 million?
No, they sold the company for like 2 billion or something.
Damn it. I can't remember. It was too long ago. Damn. So wait, what encompasses the X-Men when it comes to Fox?
Everything. If it's a mutant, there you go. Everything.
No shit. So
Name it.
Cable, Bishop,
Yeah, yeah.
Deadpool.
Dupe. Anything. Like anything that's a fucking mutant. Anything remotely a mutant. They own all of it. Villains, lock, stock, and barrel.
Wow.
And Fantastic Four. The only one that's sort of in contention on that, there's a shared thing with Universal and Namor.
Hmm.
However that worked out. So they have to keep these things in active development or they lose the rights. So they're always going to be developing. So they have to keep things in active development, including in TV. So that's why you're getting an X-Men show on Fox soon. And then you got this Legion thing. Doesn't mean they can't do interesting, good stuff with it. I mean, quite frankly, the mutants probably fare better on TV than in the movies. Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit. Look at Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. Damn, I thought it was just the X-Men.
no, it's every mutant and all the villains. Anything near like a mutant, anything, including Fantastic. So all the cool villains, all of Marvel's strongest female characters are mutants. By the way, think about that. Why do you think they don't have a lot of female characters in the movies? and they're not even represented in the film very well at all. You know.
We get a look at Dark Phoenix.
Well, that's the word now. The next one's gonna X-Men Supernova. They're supposed to be filming that later this year. And Kinberg's gonna direct. I don't know, man. I went to see Kinberg talk about all this stuff with Apocalypse, and a lot of fucking Apocalypse's story came straight from him shooting the shit with Fassbender and stuff. And I'm not a fan of that movie. You know, Kinberg's a nice guy. He's a nice dude. I think he means well, but I think he comes from the old era, of developing things because they have to develop them, and things happen because he has this format. He said, like, when they were coming up with X-Men Apocalypse, he's like, we're on the plane, we're thinking, what's the furthest thing Magneto would be from this film, from Days of Future Past? Where's the furthest place he can be? And Fassbender goes, what if he's in the forest and he has a family? And like, oh yeah, we'll take him as far from that point. I'm like, why? If you drop a fucking stadium on the White House, you don't get to have a family in the forest anymore. He should have been in Russia, right? And the nuclear arms race becomes a mutant arms race, right? And all the Russians, you got Magneto over there with communism in Russia. You know what I mean? Who
Yeah.
he would support because they were anti-Nazi. You know what I mean? And then you got the American side, which is favoring humans. You know what I mean? And you got Professor X somewhere in between. Like, build off the things you've already done. Don't reset them or go negative steps backward to try and crawl them out of a fake hole, story-wise. You're just wasting the fucking entire hour of my goddamn fucking time. You know?
Yeah, but then you get to see him murder like 9 dudes with a necklace.
Peter Clark
So
says,
that's cinematic.
Hold on, Peter Clark, new guy. Found your channel the other day, game dev artist here. Really want to get into comic. Oh, nice. Nice to have you here, Peter. Damn.
What am I?
Singer, I don't know, man. Kinberg, dude. X-Men Apocalypse felt like something they made to keep the license. And if
I'm
X-Men
not gonna disagree with
Supernova,
that.
X-Men Supernova feels like much of the same thing. And I just don't have a lot of faith in Kinberg. I mean, he wrote that Last Stand. You can say, well, he wrote Days of Future Past. I'm like, yeah, but Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldman did a lot of the development on that movie before he left and then went and did Kingsman. So I don't know how much of that was Simon Kinberg other than signing checks, you know? I mean, he wrote like Triple X, you know what I mean? Like the second one, you know? I'm not the biggest, I'll take Bryan Singer.
on a skateboard?
Hey, Bryan Singer's not a fun guy. You know, Ian McKellen said that. You know, he's doing an interview for X-Men Last Stand because Brett Ratner was directing. He's like, Brett's a lot of fun. I love Bryan, but you don't really want to be at a party with Bryan, it would not be a very fun party, which is why Bryan Singer's Superman was ultra fucking depressing.
Wow.
He's not he's a drama guy, I mean, watch Valkyrie, watch fucking, Usual Suspects, He can interject some humor here and there, but he's not a fun dude.
Wait, Bryan Singer did Usual Suspects?
Yeah, it's his first movie, man.
Oh, son of a bitch. I love that movie.
Yeah. So don't talk shit. But so we'll see. We're gonna find out, right?
I mean,
Kinberg directs it. We're gonna find out.
Are they making the Dark Phoenix saga again?
That's what they say. But if it's a bunch of shit happening on screen, fan service, bro. Then they just throw characters and shit on screen because wouldn't it be cool to see that? That's the CW way of doing things. I don't buy into it. I like world building. I like logical decision making and consequences for decisions, good and bad. Like in X-Men Apocalypse, they have a scene with the TVs on, and it's a scene from Star Trek in the '60s. I'm like, this is the '80s, man. Like, you know what it should have been? It should have been fucking Rocky 4 on that fucking screen, and instead of Ivan Drago, Rocky's fighting Colossus. That's what it should have been on the fucking screen. Like, build around the world that already exists. And he even said at the interview, he's like, yeah, and you can listen to it. It's on Jeff Goldsmith's Q&A. You can listen to it. I was there with Kyle. You can listen to it. He's like, we didn't want to get into the politics in the 80s. And I'm like, why? You got into politics the last one. Why not this one? And I'll tell you fucking why. Because they made it literally overnight. And they didn't have time to think. They sat on a plane to a premiere and conjured up something. He just wrote some shit out. And they're like, good enough.
Ship it.
Yeah, ship it. Hashtag deal with it. And so the one thing we wanted to see, you say you're in the 80s and they're going to put a mall in there, everyone wanted to see a mall. Because it's a quintessential 80s thing. I wanted to see the mall. I wanted to see the Starcade. I wanted to see a KB's Toys back there. I wanted to see the shit I remembered, when I was a kid. And they cut that shit out so I can watch a fucking another version of Quicksilver, which is completely stands out of the film. Just running around, fucking doing stupid shit. Like when he did the running around thing in Days of Future Past, it was to a point to fucking break someone out of jail. Now he's just doing it to save some people from getting blowed up, and it just drags out, man. It's like fucking what are they doing? You know? It's like a $200 million version of Make It Rain. That music video, they're just throwing money everywhere. Ha ha, you know?
Peter's got a comment. Struggling with dynamic silhouette poses. Oh, Rob's good at this. Trying to get exciting, interesting poses. So using hot toys, figures, etc. to help. That's something you do / have done. Silhouette poses. Rob. Pretty sure.
Yeah, so I made a little video, Peter. I have an art tips playlist. In the playlist under art tips, there's 3 or 4 or 5 different videos on drawing with silhouettes. I learned how to draw that way and would study action figures. It gets hot toys. For me, it was like toys, right? To the point now where I develop everything as a silhouette and draw in the container. Like all these were sketched out in silhouette, and the real-time videos for these will be up as well, probably tomorrow night. So no, I don't post anything Thursday, so Friday night they'll be up Friday night. But yeah, I develop all these things in silhouettes, and then draw into the silhouette. In terms of developing the poses, part of that's definitely looking at three-dimensional things, but then carving it. Man, how do you say I got to carve out the silhouette? I mean, trying to get interesting poses. How do you get interesting poses?
Well, you have your process, but also remember your 3/4 process.
Yeah, but he's talking about like interesting dynamic. I want the character to run. I want them to do this. I think at this point,
that's in 1 or 2 of your videos.
Yeah, it's in there. I mean, I think I try to think about what I'm trying to convey in terms of emotion. Like with these little sketches, I try not to get too crazy with the poses because I feel when people buy a piece of character art, they kind of want something cool to put on their wall. And if it's too wild, it can really stand the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get like Portrait at Sears where you're like, whoa. So there are things you can do where you can shift things up or down. So like, I have one here where is it? The Scarlet Witch. Or here, there's like a Tifa Ruffy, where at the very end you can pop a boot forward and go underneath the boot, right? Stuff like that, where you can bend joints and things. But none of this was using reference, so there is a level of like trying to like. I devote one full day. Usually Thursdays are what I call like my sergeant's time. It's what they call in the army, where it's like development days. Although tomorrow I have to do saucy because I have this commission, and I'll use those days to practice drawing. Basic like running silhouettes, and sometimes I'll fucking pop open the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what it's like when a guy runs. Sometimes I'll put on a favorite anime and just try to figure out what they did, or I'm deconstructing. And then I'll take what they did and try to redraw it from a different angle. Like if a character's running this way, I'll block in the silhouette where it's a low angle going up and then a top angle looking down so that I can develop a volume, that I'm seeing a volume in the page. And I'm using the silhouette to handle all the foreshortening, and to keep myself from running off the page. It's just a container. And if you could see into it, like if you could rotate, a black, what's a black circle? It's a three-dimensional sphere, but it's a silhouette of one. It looks flat, but if you see it three-dimensionally, like you can rotate it and move it, then you can start to jet out legs and feet in certain ways and then rebuild them three-dimensionally. If you understand where the parts go, but you're not seeing it yet, part of that's just give yourself the time to develop your mind's eye. I don't do weed or anything, so I don't, I've had to do it the hard way, in terms of free your mind, see the code moment. But I mean, if you come from game development, 3D models are your best way to go. Like, I mean, in terms of just getting your head around that, if you're really struggling, because I draw my figures like they are 3D models, even though I don't use 3D models for direct reference. And the reason why I don't do that is I believe it lends to uh, marionation in your art. You could see it a lot in indie covers, man. You can see where these characters are like weirdly posed, like ugh! Their limbs are hanging up like Pinocchio. You know, I got no perspective to hold me down. To do. So, Mike, you there?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
I know. I'm just trying to let you go because I was
But
cracking
yeah, I
up a
mean,
couple of times.
drawing from Hot Toys makes a lot of sense in that you want to draw from a statue than you do from another piece of art. Now, when I'm at a convention and some guy goes, "Hey, I want a Jane Foster Thor," I'm not. I don't got. I mean, I go for the first fucking reference I can grab in terms of what their costumes are made up of, you know. And then I've already committed a bunch of different kind of poses and stuff into my head. Like I've kind of worked that out, you know. Or I keep a set of reference poses. I actually do. I've done a few videos where we're like, here's some silhouettes and here's how we can construct them. You can see those in the art test videos too. Like there's where I just like we can make some generic 3D, three-dimensional character poses that you could probably here's a guy running. Here's a big bulky guy. Here's a female pose.
Work smarter, not harder.
So when you're at the con, you can open up your pose book, like go, oh, I'm going to use that kind of pose, and I can plug in this character. You know, versus having to sit there. I don't like drawing tons of lines and then erasing everything. That's the one of the things that bugs the fuck out of me. You know, where I put all these lines and you erase, and you're like, why? That was a lot of. Well, you gotta get those lines to get the development. I'm like, structure doesn't involve tons of lines. It involves structure. Like it involves shapes, like clay shapes. Building the foot is a certain type of shape. These can be cartoony. They can be the more realistic. They can be more realistic. I like chunkier shapes, but I can draw thin. Thin. I've got some thinner girls. I mean, like this. This is just me drawing the way I would like to draw. Like it's kind of like also practice for the game style for Game Cave and everything else. So I like more chunkier shapes. Um,
The angel piece that I don't know, it's like what 6 years old now.
the Cupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, he made me add a halo at the last second. It was supposed to be Cupid, then became an angel for some stupid reason.
Either way, it's yeah, that one's pretty thin.
Yeah, she's got more of the, you know, Image Comics.
I was gonna say like the kind of the image look. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
say
No, no,
you're
but
drawing
that was
image.
intentional. That's the audience that he caters to, and I'm part of that. But
I still like those pieces.
I like him too. But at the same time, like I'm not sitting around all day. Like
Drawing image.
it's 10 times fucking. Well, I mean that, and when I draw for me, I tend to draw things a little bit more fun. So it's a little bit more like the Cupids were fun, but she takes a lot of effort, you know. So I'm not against to doing that style again at some point or that type of shape, but it takes twice as long. It's
Oh
easier
yeah,
for me to
I can
cartoon, bro.
imagine.
It's easier for me to cartoon than it is to do that. It just takes longer, right? And for free sketches with prints, I'm certainly not doing that. So, you know.
So maybe Peter, that answered your question.
Well, I mean, it's a start. I don't think I can answer it in one question. I think to head you down that direction, I would check out those videos.
I think yeah,
Um,
the videos would definitely help because
and
those
then,
videos very informative.
yeah, and then based on that, whatever I've missed, or you have further questions, or you have some specific art you'd like to show me, you can ask them. Send me some art. We can make I do fan help videos. Send me some art. I can go over it and give you some advice, looking at something specifically. I try to nail down what people are trying to achieve specifically versus just generic art advice. Because everyone's a little different, and I don't think there's one. I mean, the one size fits all art devices. Learn construction, motherfucker. You know, like that. But that, you know, that only goes so far too. So, but developing your mind's eye in terms of how to build dynamic. I mean, study life if you're trying to get something to move, and then exaggerate it. I mean, that's why I learned 2D animation. So in 2D animation, at least the Disney way, right, is everything's based on strong silhouette. That's what they would call it, a strong silhouette, as my teacher would, my instructor. And heightened. So if they go so far, you want to heighten that pose because, as we all know, rotoscoping or tracing right over images, it always looks weird. It's the uncanny valley. Yeah, 2D animator, so you get it, right? So you heighten breaking joints, lean, don't go dead center of anything. When you're coming up with the pose, never lean on genericness. Push it a little more in the front, a little bit in the back, a little bit on the top. Lean to one end or the other. Like in this case, I put a lot of weight on her feet and the boots. I'll have to thin her up at
Foots?
foots. I know, right? Foots,
You
feets
did
and boots.
foots?
Yeah, the foots.
They look like foots.
So,
They're
um,
Thor foots.
and then I wanted this cape hanging down too. So I wanted in this odd, like I cut out the silhouette so that it's going this way, but not breaking the border here. You know, and I love seeing people get better too, bro. So like, you know, I mean, I learn too when I see people. Sometimes they take my advice and go, "Well," I was like, "Wow, I didn't know." You know, hey, look what you did with that. I didn't know. And sometimes they do some shit where I'm like, "Oh fuck, don't tell them I told you to do that." So, like, you know, SketchCraft told me to trace all my toys. No, that's not exactly what I said, but I could see how you could get there. Like, but I mean, style is just the type of shape you're using. You know, you want a realistic style, you use realistic shapes. Making things move in one drawing, that was always my goal. You know, I don't want to animate 30 fucking pieces of art. I want to animate it once and make it feel like it's moving in one drawing. That's always been my goal. Energy and construction, making it feel solid. Realistic is probably the lowest, way down on that list. You know, believable, I think is more important. Studied animation 20 years ago. Has been doing VFX and gains for 16. Nice, dude. Congrats. It's about the time I joined the army. Oh, shit, has it been 16 years? 17,
No.
18 years.
How has it been 18 years? So that means
98,
in 2 years I'm
yeah,
gonna buy you a
19 years.
gold-plated.
It's been 19
Gold.
years
It's
since
been
I,
19 years. So
yeah.
next year I can buy you a gold-plated pair of scissors.
I already, scissors.
You know what I'm talking about, motherfucker.
No, I don't. What, gold plated scissors?
Cutting grass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, okay. You know, I don't really put those memories at the top of my list. You know?
Yeah, well, I remember them.
Yeah, well, I know you do, but I don't put them high on that list. Things to remember.
I can see why.
I got more sequential work coming that I'm doing for myself, and one of the ways to get that done more efficiently is to be using, you know, a style that is quick for me, you know. And so these are one of the roads to that. You know, like that Cupid piece would be the cover. That could be a cover of something, or like maybe if I did like a pin-up thing or a calendar, but I would never do a whole book like it because I'd be here for
That would
fucking.
take forever.
I'd spend another 4 years drawing one fucking thing. Um,
What pen are you using for those really thick outlines?
That's the Copic BM medium brush. The Copic pen itself doesn't seem to bleed on this paper.
Oh, it holds tight.
Yeah, it doesn't bleed. So, and I don't need a feathered edge for that, so I don't use the Pentel. I have that. I'm still trying to get a feel for it. And it's a thicker brush. I'm pointing it up to it. You'll see it in a view. So I can feel it a little easier on the page, and I'm trying to, that little thick outline around, but I'm trying to make sure I keep the thin lines on the inside. I felt with the Kaiju monster, I over thickened lines. So, but I wanted to see how thick I could go on those lines, and then when I color it, what that would look like. So, I think I had it right on the Final Fantasy VII in terms of the thick and thin. I just want to make sure that when I get to the 9 next week, that the characters are more constructed on the roughy versus the page. So I'm not spending too much time on the page trying to figure that all out, or it looks rougher than it needs to.
I do like the line values that thing provides.
For what?
The line value
On the
that you can
7?
pull off that on that
Yeah,
thicker.
the trick is just not overdo it. So
Well, yeah, it looks like it's your weight. You got weight on it, so you can. It's not as nearly. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look,
Um.
when you look at them by themselves, and I hold it up to like professionally inked pieces, it looks like a chicken shit scratch. But once it's colored, you can't tell the difference. And I sort of feel like that's what I'm trying to find, like that balance,
Mm,
like, so like I did a super take my time inking version with the Megavisions cover, and
yeah.
that achieved a result. And then I tried to push that a little further with the line weights on the Kaiju, and I still feel looking at all three that the line weights on the Final Fantasy VII work better, but that things were rougher than they needed to be on certain details because I didn't have them figured out before they were on the page. Does that make sense? I was kind of like working it out.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense.
a little bit more time on that end. And was this Peter Clark? So let me get this right. Ex-military, 2D animator artist of base. Hey, well, except you're employed, and I just you've had, you know what I mean? Like, and I've had to I'm
Sorry.
here on YouTube. How you doing? What's up?
Sorry.
You know,
No, it's okay.
he's definitely got the leg up. It's not. John
Thanks,
Doe has the
Peter.
upper hand. John Doe has the upper hand. Like.
Always feels great to relate to somebody.
Yeah, the last job interview I was at Jinx, and they were just looking at me, and they're like, "Why don't you get into games?" And I'm like, "Who's hiring this guy?" You know what I mean? Like, I don't do 3D. The kind of things that I do don't exist in modern games. You need an indie dude, or I need to go back to 19. I need to get a DeLorean and go to 1997 and break
No,
into Rare.
yeah, you'd be blatantly like rough concept art or like
No, I'd be shoved into UX. I've already looked into it. Like that's basically where, I've maybe thought environmental artist, but then, I got a model and I get carpal tunnel from fucking using a mouse. And I'm really not good at
yeah.
building things.
No,
So,
you'd get pigeonholed real quick.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, to make everybody feel better, when I first met you,
Or I animate and do pixel stuff, but then I got to stop doing all this to go animate and learn how to do all that
yeah,
again. I don't know.
I believe one of the first questions I asked Rob was, "Why don't you go work for Image?" And his
Oh,
response was, "Fucking, why don't you go work for
Image
Image?"
doesn't
Like,
directly
I
employ
don't know.
anybody. That's
Like,
why. Because Image doesn't employ anybody. They're not a company. They're a publisher. Like
people
doesn't.
often ask questions they don't
And I've
really.
sold books to Image, and it'd be nice. I would be able to hand you an Image book right now. I had my writer turn in scripts. So, you know, sold them a book in 2006. Mosaic.
Was that the one that you had all the really fleshed out panels for?
Yeah, we did the whole pages and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of sad that one didn't go, man.
Tell me about it. He tried to get me on it again the other, like 6 months ago. He's like, bro, I haven't seen you. Wow, your art's looking great. We should do that mosaic. And so I'm like, no, you know, I'm not doing it. I can't. I'm gonna just waste another fucking 10 years of my life. You know. So appreciate it, but I gotta move on.
Hey, so what happened with the weird
Thanks, Peter.
YouTube subscription bell thing?
Huh? Bell?
Well, I'm subscribed to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't tell me every time.
I don't know. Hey, welcome to the whole internet's trying to figure out what's up with YouTube not notifying people. When,
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. So
yeah.
It's got the subscribe button, but it's got the bell button too.
You got to hit the bell button to get notified, by the way. And I need to start putting a note on there or a bumper. There's a lot of development I have to do. I try to do YouTube development in little chunks and then step away for a little bit.
Yeah.
I have to make that bell thing a notice. I have to make a video. I have to make a for that intro video when you get to the page, so I can start to explain what this is. I've waited years to be able to. What the fuck is this nonsense? So I can describe it to people. And
I didn't even know it was a thing until like I don't know, like a month ago.
Yeah.
And I found out from like half the channels.
Oh, I only noticed because I watched Collider and they pointed it out on Collider. I'm like, oh, is that how they fix this? And didn't bother telling anybody, you know? Classic Google fashion, right?
So
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
They probably didn't know what was causing the bug, so they made another feature to try to get around.
Come on now. Come on now.
What are the odds of that? What are the odds?
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know the best version of that ever? Speaking of video games, Wing Commander. So the original Wing Commander, every time you stop the game or you end the game, it would give them a memory manager. It was a 380 E36 something extra memory manager error. Anytime you finish the game, it would cause this error notice, a crash error notice. So they couldn't figure out how to fix it. What they did was they were able to get the warning, the error message to say thank you for playing Wing Commander instead of saying that. So it looked like every time you entered the game, it said thank you for playing Wing Commander. What you were actually seeing was a memory manager fucking crash. But
so they modified the toast.
Yeah. So they turned a bug
a crash toast. They modified a bug
into a feature, literally.
Fucking wow, man.
Clever, right? Clever. That's a win, dog.
I mean, technically, yeah, that's clever. Is it terrible? Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, you know. I mean, this is a long time ago, bro. How are they supposed to fix that, you know? Small window.
I mean, I don't know. Aside from fixing it,
yeah, they probably just were stumped. They probably these are garage games days. We got like 4 guys in a room, and you're like, no one knows, no internet, you know.
Guys, big old kids, the fuck hits.
None of them had a CompuServe fucking subscription, so you know they couldn't like go on the boards.
No Net Zero.
No. GeoWorks, you know. Huh? Come on, I know my history, you know. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no.
There's one asshole who was running OS2. He swears it'd be the future. Yeah.
Oh man.
So much more stable, you know, like.
Sorry for the old people jokes.
If they don't get it, they got Google, you know.
Yeah, sure. Fuck you, Google it.
Yeah.
Oh god. I will BRB.
Sure. GTA came into existence from a bug in another game that was being developed at the time. The police cars keep aggressively chasing down the player and crashing. The best play on that I ever saw was in Driver 1, the last level, where you're kidnapping the president and the fucking just I just love watching the replays and watching what cars come out of nowhere. It's literally it really is like a playable version of the final 5 minutes of the Blues Brothers, or the 10 minutes of the Blues Brothers with all the cop cars. The first Driver game.
All right, I'm back.
Uh-huh.
Did you read the GTA
Yeah, we
campaign?
were talking about it. I was saying that the best version of that. Yeah, I was saying that the best version of that I ever saw was in the first Driver game, the last level. The You kidnap the president and all these cars, all the Secret Service guys are trying to run you down. It's the same car, but so many cars come flying at you. It's like a playable version of the last 10 minutes of Blues Brothers.
Me.
Huh? You're talking over me. I can't hear you. Mike? Mike? See, Mike can't hear me. You there? Yeah, it's Mike's end.
EA for work laptops.
You there?
Yep, got it.
All right.
This is why I'm replacing this headset.
Gotcha.
And luckily, what was the one that you told me to grab?
I don't know. The one I have?
The starts with an S.
Oh, Sennheiser.
Yeah, Mara has that exact headset.
Shocking.
So I'm gonna get that one from her and replace this old, dead, crappy Logitech. I mean, technically, even though you told me not to, I'm gonna get a condenser mic.
You can do whatever you want. I just don't feel a need for it. Like, they have it on Collider, and every fucking time they're talking, they move their heads to talk to the person next to them, and he can't hear them. I'm like, just get them fucking headsets, man. Or get them, at that point, they should have the fucking neck mics. You know, they got the money. You know, they can buy everyone neck mics and get that shit set up. Like,
oh, just right there.
Because they're doing 4 people on a round table, and they're all talking to one another, and they move to actually talk to them, which I'm fine with. That makes sense. But you can't fucking hear them.
Yeah.
You know, they come off mic. So here I can't have a condenser mic because I'm drawing. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to do? You know, you get that. I gotta have the microphone right in my mouth while I'm drawing. Like, so I just wear the headset.
Yeah, you'd have to do that.
And it sounds a little tinny, but you know, I kind of like when Art Bell made the switch from he missed the switch from radio to satellite once, and he lasted like 3 months before he quit. But the quality was so good, I didn't like it. I like the AM sound. You know, like there's something
it's
that
like
ratty.
listening to a record.
Yeah, you know what? But it's like worse quality. The record's legitimately better quality. This is worse quality, and I like it. So this is clear enough. It doesn't sound like I have a lot of money, and I like that. You know,
no,
like,
Joey, you didn't catch the end of the stream.
Oh no, well, I'm going to be drawing for a while.
I'm not going to be here the whole time because
he has a life.
Well, yeah, I gotta work tomorrow.
And you gotta work. Bugs.
Bugs. Well, what I have to do is I have to hurt people's feelings tomorrow because they want to do something and I'm not gonna let them do
Speaking of
it.
which, Brandon went to the dentist today, and guess who got a stern talking to? Guess who got a stern talking to about his soda
God, dude, I
consumption.
can't laugh like that hard into the mic.
Uh huh. He's like, yeah, he's fucking six fillings, and they let me know, and sodas, and
Oh
Mountain
shit!
Dew.
What did they? What did they tell him?
Huh? He won't. He won't. He just the exhaustion. You know. He's like, yeah, I know. I gotta stop with the fucking Mountain Dews. I'm like, no shit.
With the Mountain
He
Dews?
has one every day. He's like, I could have
What?
gone to one a day. It's down, bro. Like,
Wait, he's how old is he, Brandon?
I don't know. In his 30s?
And he's pounding Mountain Dews every
Sure.
day.
You know?
All right, so okay, no, I find this curious because 7 years ago, when I started my beautiful little Twilight career, there was a very, very shitty contract at Microsoft testing very shitty Kinect games where they gave you free soda, and that was really, really cool for like I don't know, like the first
4 hours.
month. Yeah, it didn't last that long
Right.
because you just can't really drink soda that long. Um, and I mean, ever since then, I just don't drink soda because I just there's
I don't know,
coffee,
man.
there's
To each his
tea, there's
own,
other
dude.
way to get caffeine. Like I don't know, I just don't drink soda.
Hey, man, I have my vice. I like black coffee, no sugar. You know, it's the sugar's the problem. You know, and I told him, I said, look,
What's the one from Starbucks that you get? You're always sipping on.
well, I make my own now. But if I do go to Starbucks, I'll get a, and if I do go to Starbucks and pay for that, I'll get one of two things depending on the season. And if I'm on the road, I just get a black iced coffee with the ad shot. But if I'm going to pay for it normally, like with my wife when we're on the road, I'll get a vanilla latte grande with sugar-free vanilla and heavy cream. Or if it's in season, I'll get a sugar-free mint mocha with heavy cream.
What the hell did you get when you were up here?
With
Can
you,
you
I just
tip?
got a black coffee with the ad shot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
iced coffee with the ad shot.
yeah.
It's my drink of choice when I'm at con too. And Brandon goes, "You have coffee breath." I'm like, "What do you want? Fucking get right up on me? Come here." You smell like coffee. Hey, congratulations. They can stand back. You know, some fucking. I mean, normally I'd take some Trident with me, so I got the spearmint, just spearmint and coffee. But I'm like, so fucking. I don't give a shit what they fucking think. You know. You know.
I gotta say, I've been to like 4 cons in Seattle, which Brandon apparently gives me shit for. And I walked into multiple artists, talked to them, bought their wares, never noticed their breath.
I know he's the only one. You know that I'm. Cause I'm right there. I'm like, you nanny. You know.
Oh, that's weird. So he's got to quit the Mountain Dew. Are they gonna give him a Mountain Dew patch?
Or he's just gonna keep. Yeah, Mountain Dew. No, they're gonna give him dentures. Like that's what he's gonna fucking get. You know, if he
Are you
keeps it up.
serious?
No,
Or you
but
fucking
it's
around?
that's the road. You know, like pretty quickly. Like, look, I got
Wait,
into a
like
bad
pulling
habit
his teeth?
once.
Like, is he that bad?
Well, yeah, I got into a bad. Yeah, it was six fillings. Is not a good time, bro. I got really
Oh,
bad once. Like when after play the game fam debacle, where I was living off donuts and trying to get all this work done. I got in this bad fucking habit, dude, of drinking rock stars and Jolly Ranchers. You know, this is before I went on the no
at the
sugar
same
diet.
time?
Oh yeah, I'd get the Jolly
Like you
Rancher
put the Jolly Ranchers in the
and I
Rock
get this
Stars?
rock star. No, I'd pop in my mouth and get the rock star and go swirl it all around, man, for just a good fucking time. Like, oh, this is so much fun. Um, yeah, that did not do very good. Like for
Yeah.
my gum health, you know.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I've been on what no sugar thing or the low sugar, virtually nothing now. Uh, since 2012, about
Well,
5 years.
you've been keto for how long?
I don't like calling that. It's not. I'd rather say closer to Atkins, but people don't like using that phrase now. But it's low carb, right? Really, what it
Whatever.
is low sugar. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just cutting as much. I mean, even with vegetables, you got to be careful about how much. You can't eat a fucking bunch of carrots, dude. So for about 5 years, dude. So and I enjoy it. I mean, I still have a good time here and there, but I puff the fuck out. Like this weekend, we're celebrating our Valentine's Day together this Saturday. So we're gonna go to the front door. We're gonna get this pizza they make there and the cookie. The cookie. The last time I had it, it was back in September. I could feel my hand expanding. I had to take my wedding ring off because it was starting to hurt. Like, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Was the cookie like a medium-sized pizza
You're gonna
cookie?
find out. You're gonna find it. No,
Oh.
no, because I'm gonna take you there. Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh God.
My feet are gonna be swole for the next month, but I'm gonna
Are we
take
gonna
you.
be? Please tell me we're gonna document this.
Well, maybe. I mean, my wife will be there. I don't like to put her on the camera and shit, but I'll show you. The cookie's nice. It's not super huge, but it's super fucking evil. Like it's an
And
evil.
I don't eat sweets,
Yeah.
so.
But they have this place has great beer selections by the college and shit, so you'll like it. Yeah.
Oh, there's 8 of you guys, 9 of you guys watching. Do you want to see me just
No one wants to
submit
see
to
me
the
eat.
cookie?
No one wants to see me eat. Like I don't. And if they say they do, I don't care. So
Not you, just me.
yeah,
I'll do
no.
it.
We'll see what happens when Mike eats the cookie. You already got a picture with you and a half-naked Burt Kreischer. I think they'd be more interested in seeing that. And
Yeah, technically I can send you 2 of those. You know what sucks is we're trying to fight a. I was wearing the first shirt I bought when the first time I saw him, and we couldn't find a Sharpie. We didn't bring a Sharpie because I was gonna be like, sign the first machining shirt, and nobody could find a Sharpie. So
you should have brought one.
yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't
we
plan it
live and
out,
learn.
right?
Man, that guy is funny. Good lord, that guy is funny.
Yeah, I got into his brand of humor on Rogan. He's super spastic, jumps subjects and sometimes says too much. Like the last time he was on with Tom Segura, he was like, talking about Tom's wife, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys are great. If we ever wife swap, they'd be the ones I." And it got really uncomfortable.
He's
Like
like, whoa.
Rogan's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah,
Tom's like, "Oh."
yeah. Like
He's like,
he's
"I don't think I
eating
should have said that."
yeah, Speedy of Burt Kreischer.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
good thought, Bert.
but live, it's like it, he's I don't know. He feels held back because like he has to tell. He's got like an hour and a half, so he's got to tell the machine
Yeah,
story.
he had that discussion about the struggle between does he give them the favorites or some of the new stuff, and people do like to see the routine, but like it's and then that is how bits can be worked out over years that way, and
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing it right because he did new stuff from the last time I saw, and it was really, really awesome. And then he was like, "All right, I've pushed it out as far as I can. How much time do I have?" And everyone's like, "Keep going," So because it was the last of the night, and so then I was like flying dildos, and he was like, "Okay," and he started like, and then he started telling flying dildos. So we got that, and then after that he went into the machine, and then he closed it off, and that was almost 2 hours.
nice.
So yeah, I mean, it's Seattle. Like there was some pretty drunk dudes heckling a little bit, but he shut them down pretty quick. So he got at least, I would say,
Yeah, but
45
he's a
minutes to an
seasoned
hour
dude,
of
man.
original content, like
He's
actual.
he's a seasoned guy. He's not gonna be fucking off put by some fucking hecklers. You know what I mean?
Oh God, no,
It's
no.
not open mic night at Sahara's for that dude.
Yeah,
Like
no, he shuts them down. Like it's amazing to watch. But yeah, it's the new content. It's still it's not even, it doesn't even feel like content.
right,
He's
just
just
talking.
telling you. Yeah, he's just talking to you.
You know who does that perfectly? Throws people off when they don't know what they're getting. Norm. Norm Macdonald.
Norm
I've taken my wife
Norm
to see.
Macdonald?
Yeah, I've taken my wife to see Norm Macdonald a few times, and
Really?
and so he'll usually the warm up. He always has a pretty good warm up. Someone to kind of go out there first, and it's always someone who does like a really good standard comedian sort of routine, right? With
Yeah, why,
the
blah blah
gags
blah.
and the no, and it's always pretty good. He's never seen him put up anyone that's like, fuck that guy. But Norm comes out and just talks to you in that Norm fucking way, like just, yeah, diet soda, like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, a little bit of
you know.
oh shit, what's his Jeopardy name?
He doesn't do any Trebek, but
No, I know, but
oh,
like
you mean the Burt Reynolds, right? Burt Reynolds.
yeah, yeah, but what's the name they used for the SNL Jeopardy bit?
I don't know what you're talking about. He does Burt Reynolds on the SNL Jeopardy.
Oh, come on, I can find it. God damn it. Anyways, I know what you're talking about. It's that kind of voice style.
It's just how he talks, like
Yeah,
when he's
yeah.
up there doing his
It's
thing.
the way he presents his voice and
And
everything.
I was like, it wasn't like jokes. I'm like that's the thing you want to get to, where they could just talk. Like Tracy Morgan's a guy who could just fucking talk. I don't really give a shit what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing.
Like Tracy Morgan could do a whole show where he just puts a GoPro on himself and fucking shops in the frozen food aisle, and I'll fucking watch that shit. Like so.
The SNL voice was Turd Ferguson.
Okay.
Was Norm Macdonald's, like, where he has like this kind of like voice to himself. So that's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
But yeah, like when they get to the point where they can just tell you things, like the first half an hour of Bert's show was him making fun of his daughters and how stupid they were. And he wasn't even making fun of them, really. He was just explaining things that were happening. And it was funny as hell. So that's oh, there we go. Okay, it's not too loud.
Yeah, it's the worst thing you could do is go up there and just be like, "So dogs, huh?
Dog.
Hey,
Yeah,
later
that's my
down."
leg. Hate that, bro. Unfortunately, the MC for the venue that we were at, same guy from the last time I saw him last year. Same jokes.
Oh, that's
Not very
not
good
good.
timing.
Ooh. Yeah,
So much
that's not
so,
good.
I recognized it. I was like, damn, dude. Can't even improve your timing. But yeah, next time Bert comes out, man, gotta come out and hang.
No, yeah, I'll make my way over there this year sometime. I mean, it's just a
Eventually.
given. Well, that's a given. I mean, just how it's not just you. I got a bunch of people fucking out there now. It's crazy how that
Well,
worked out.
thanks, Ryan.
I told everyone I was moving there, and they all moved there, and I didn't go. It's actually what happened. It's the
I
strangest.
was the only one already here.
I told everyone I'm going there. Chris went there. Fucking Joe went there. Ty, all my buddies went there, and I'm the only guy who's like, I'm actually not gonna go. You're not going? Nah, not going. It's
It's a
hilarious.
lot cheaper in Idaho.
Just less people. Period. Like let's just talk
There's
about
a lot.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go from one San Diego to another. That was basically the gist of the.
Hey, man, after everything I've been through in the last year, I do not blame you for going to Idaho at all.
If I had my way, if we could have winged it, I'd be like North Dakota. Like how's the internet? Like I would just find the least amount of what's the most remote with the best internet. If I had my way, but she does have a career, so. Yeah.
Man.
So I'm trying to use these two to like nail down the level of line quality I did on the Final Fantasy VII. So I just continue to do that and forget about all the other stuff I've been doing and just keep looking at it. That's why I got it over here. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't really try there. And over there, I kind of took that shortcut, but it all
Let
worked
me
out.
see. It's going to take 8 seconds, but let me see.
Huh? I don't.
Let me see
It's
what you're
just
talking about.
Final Fantasy VII.
I know. I haven't looked at the line art you're talking about.
It's
So.
loose, but it
We're on
worked
8
once
second
it was
delay,
colored.
so I basically can ask you, and then you can show me. Still waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. And there it is. Yes, that line quality. Yes. Okay. I see what you're talking about.
It's looser, but once it's colored, it looks fine. You know.
Oh, yeah, no, Mara and I were talking about, we were looking at the kaiju, or she knew what the fuck you were drawing. I didn't know what the fuck you were drawing.
Quetzalcoatl.
Mara's like, I don't know how he does this with pencil, ink, and digital, and still makes it look sketchy as fuck. I'm like, hey, it's Rob. Just, that's the way it goes.
Because the sketch here, well, it still needs to be drawn, but I can't get carpal tunnel ever again. The trick is just to keep the energy, you know. But it helps with this paper. See, the paper's tough. It's tough paper.
Isn't
It's
it
got,
like beef
it's lower
or
quality.
B?
It's 67 pound, dude. Cover.
That's 67 pound?
Yeah, it's cheap Staples paper. Yeah, Staples paper, man. It's acid free. It's gonna last forever, archival, but it's super fucking cheap, and it's got a nice little tooth to it. That's how it works. And it feels nice when you buy something. You're like, oh
And
yeah.
this is why Rob's a genius, guys. Anybody listening right now?
Staples paper.
What's the printer they need to use?
Pixma Pro.
There you go. That one.
Pissed off about that rebate.
Why? What happened?
Nothing. I sent it in, dude. I'm fucking not happy about it. You know.
Why are you not happy about it?
Because you know, what I mean, you helped out. I don't understand why every time I go to do something, shit doesn't fucking work right. Don't understand.
Yeah, but we got you hooked up in like a couple
Yeah,
days.
I know. I appreciate it. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't understand why it didn't go through. That's what I don't understand.
I mean, whatever. As long as you can work, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
That was the whole point of everything. So. I wouldn't worry about it too much. That's pretty dope that you need to do like a Rob series of like, check this out. Spend money on this printer. Buy this kind of paper.
Well, no, I don't know. Maybe the paper. Here's the thing. The reason why I bought the paper is I own 50 fucking different types of paper back here, and
I'm sure you have.
I was drawing all the 8.5 by 11s or 11 by 14, whatever, the one for Game Cave, right? Like the Mario and stuff. But I was drawing them on the B marker paper, right? And then scanning them in and coloring them. And when I'm drawing them, it was super glidey. And I was like, oh, that Mario. And I felt like every time I was going to fuck up.
Glidey on pen or pencil?
On the pen, because it's super slick surface.
Okay.
So, but when I would go do the saucies on illustration board, when I was still doing the illustration board thing, the illustration board is like paper. And so it has like a tooth to it. And I remember sketching on that. Like if you look at the Hulk and the lines on the cap, and I'm like, oh, I can really feel, you know, what is that? I never really thought about paper texture before, you know, like, because every time you go to ink, they say use a smooth thing for inking. And I'm like, oh, I'll use that. I'm like, I just suck at inking. I'm like, no, you know what it is? It's fucking paper. Doesn't fucking agree with me. You know, like, so I'm like, I need something like this. So then I have mixed media paper, Kansan, and I use that to paint on now instead of the illustration board. But it's like, it's not cheap. You know what I mean? And when you print something out, sometimes I'm like, the opacity isn't right. I need to print another copy. I'm like, oh, that's wasting fucking paper. And I don't want to waste good watercolor paper on that shit. So I'm like, there has to be another fucking way. So then I just went down to fucking Staples one day, you know, with a piece of illustration board, my pens, and fucking just sat there, you know, opening up every fucking thing they got, you know, until I found the fucking one. I just withdrew on every fucking thing they had, you know, until I was going to find it. They were going to kick me the fuck out.
Work smarter, not harder.
You know, and I just found that the Staples brand, I wanted it to be thick too. I don't want it to be thin, so that when people who bought it, they feel like they got something. because I've drawn on copy paper and it's like it just feels thin, feels cheap. So I really care about tactileness on things. Like I always appreciated the way, even as a kid, the way the Super Nintendo controllers felt compared to the Genesis. Right, the Genesis controllers felt. I mean, you could shake and rattle them around. They felt like a box of animal crackers. You're like,
Yeah.
but the Super Nintendo controllers were always sturdy. Like I felt like I could probably kill someone with one of these. Like if I tied it to a mallet and hit someone really hard. Like I mean, that's not a good
Oh yeah.
thought to have, but I mean that's a whole other problem. But so I found that once I need to. Now the downside of drawing with toothy paper like this, with like the pens, um, is that they do wear down the Copic nibs quicker.
Oh yeah. I'm sure those nibs go down
So
way
one of
fast.
these
I remember.
pens would last me maybe 2 or 3 drawings. Now they maybe last me one or maybe 1.5 drawing.
Wow. I did a lot of inking my day with microns,
Hmm.
and I could at least go 2 weeks between the thinner microns before the nib busted. Damn, that's a lot too thin.
So they're not busting, but they're just wearing down. So I mean, not one of
I know,
these,
but
like
when they wear
an eight and
down,
a
they
half by
they start
11.
shifting on you.
I'd say
Like
they
they
last
start
about
like
111 by 17. You know, so about 2 to 3 of these, and then it's kind of like toast. But I've done the math, and I'm like, okay, it's a little bit more in pens. However, like look at what it's gaining me. You know what I mean? Like the Final Fantasy VII is a good proof of concept where it's like, okay, now I'm not having to do digital inks on every fucking thing I do. You know,
yeah.
and so I'll probably at some point try to go back to like nibs again, but it's just so much faster to do it this way, and this stuff's totally fucking waterproof, and Copic
Yeah.
proof. The Copics are Copic proof. So you go, well, you're not using Copics on this. I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to use the same tools for everything I do, you know, so that there's a consistency. And so I'll probably experiment again going back with a nib, which I can totally do. It's just that if you go the wrong way with the nib, you go this way, and it's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
where are we at with this? 2 hours. Well, took longer than I thought, but what can you do, right? That's what happens when we talk. This one's done. We got another one.
Are you gonna keep going tonight?
Yeah. I'll be doing this till 4, dude. You can go to sleep.
You're going to 4?
Yeah. That's every night,
Fuck.
bro.
You're a
Next
madman.
up, Tifa.
Damn, dude. So, like, what work are you gonna get done on there?
Not much.
Fuck.
Hey,
Sounds
I
like a
take days
detriment.
off. Like sometime I'll take days off, and so I'll just cash in some days off. Be like, hey guys, not doing shit. I got a guest in town. That's how it works.
You're gonna be there for like 4 days, though.
Yeah, we'll see.
Alright.
We'll see what I got available. I mean, unless that cover comes across, you know, like if IDW shows up and they need some shit, I might have to do, something. But
I'll just play Zelda.
exactly.
I don't know.
You
Yeah.
came into town, I'll hang out. I mean, that's what it's for. I'm not like I'm 30, I'm turning 39 this year. Like I've done that. Family are in town. That's when Rob's gonna fucking work. Like, no, the time for working is fucking every fucking day. Except when people spend money to be here. Like that's the way it works. So I'm not really thinking about it right now. I'll adjust depending on what's necessary, but if nothing happens, then I'll probably put in a couple hours here and there just so I can move forward on power prints, you know? Kickstarter guys need to get their fucking shit, so
Oh yeah.
there's always things I can do, you know? Do you like microns? I buy a set of 8 on the Wish app. Yeah, they're fine. You can use them. You know, I use the Copic because I like the .03.
I used microns my entire inking life.
I started with microns in 2005 when I had to start inking things because of T-shirts. So they're like, you gotta draw wings. Here's some, get some feet. You got inks? No, you gotta buy that shit, motherfucker. We pay you.
What's up, Darth Andre? I bought microns because Michael's was the closest art store, and I didn't have the nibs yet, so I spent, what was it, like $25 for a 5-pack. You can get
Yeah, I
your
think these run me
005, 01s.
these run me about $2 a pen on Dick Blick or whatever.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
So if $1 of my fucking commission goes to the pen fees, then that's the way it works, you know? But microns work fine. I moved to the Copic because they have the .03, and then their pens are Copic proof. So when I do have to Copic over it or have to use them on the Copic on the actual color pieces, then they don't fucking smear, you know,
Makes sense.
including the saucies. So like I inked the Hulk saucy for painting, and this is done with the wine Copics. So colored. And there's the actual drawn version. And this will get painted.
Oh, snap.
Yay. Yeah, I'll tell you that someone interesting. I don't want to say it on air, but someone interesting actually bought that. That's why I
You
was
tell
like,
me when I get there.
yeah. But they hit me up out of nowhere and were like, I really want a Hulk. So I'm like, I'm not doing that, but oh fuck, because it's this person. I'm like, all right.
Shifty Eddie says, what are saucies? And Johnny said to see how you do new saucy art.
It'll be more like the con one I did a year ago, rather than with the silhouette involved, because he wanted this like the older version. So, but saucies are a style of watercolor paint I started back in 2009 or 10? 10. I think 10.
I think it was 9 or 10.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Where I paint with drips and stuff, but I've really tried to evolve it because I've seen a lot of people since do that. I don't have. Do I have my? Hold on. I think I do. I finally took this and brought this in here. Yeah, so I can show you.
Like an old Harley Quinn or a
No, I got some of the
Poison
new
Ivy?
stuff. Like here's the Deathstroke I did. It's the giant one. That's actual watercolor right there. And then the Nightwing.
Oh, yeah, Nightwing.
Yeah. So, and then Batman Begins, and then some of the Mass Effect stuff. These are pretty big. So
There we go.
these won't have the heavy shadow sections because I don't think you wanted that. So, but moving forward, I will. I'm calling those ones shadow saucies when I do the silhouettes. And then the way without it will be normal saucy.
I think everybody's gonna wait till my commission goes through.
All right.
And we get a saucy pit.
That'll be fun. Yeah, now I feel
Oh,
comfortable enough doing that. When you first were like, I want you to draw a pit with the saucy, I'm like, ah, God, I'll fuck that up. I don't want
I know, I know, I know, I know.
to deal with it.
I'm totally waiting. Just think about it, guys.
Oh, sorry,
Saucy
Joey.
pit.
I've been under deadlines right now, man. It hasn't even been on my mind. Email me a link, and I'll put it in my sketch. I'll put it on my website development. I mean, website, my YouTube.
Swifty Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie's cool.
Yeah. Rick and Morty. Yeah. He'll be there someday. Someday. Weren't you talking about doing just both to get it out of the way, or like
What are you
if
talking
you
about?
were going to do it, the because you got Pitt and Max, right?
Yeah, I would probably.
Perfectly contrasting, right?
I'd probably
So
do
weren't you talking
both.
about doing both at the same time?
Yeah, because I know once I do one, every time I've drawn a pit or it comes up, you know. And I know he would look good. The Max would look cool like that.
Well, I mean, like you always see the contrasting color for Pitt is always like bright green and Max purple.
Right.
I don't know.
I would have to design them so that color wise they.
Yeah, and your background lighting color. I should say Spawn.
How would I
Spawn
tackle
stuff.
Saucy now for a character that has a lot of white sections? Um, well, with the white, I would probably use a mixture of purple and burnt sienna, or a slate gray or a Payne's gray. Payne's gray with a lot of water, and you know, and maybe a little bit of a purple in there. And I would have it come out the cracks, you know, or I could even do a light blue and then have it like seep around the cracks and go across the surface so that you're still building, there's whites, but you're building the surface of ink flowing over the surface. Trick is to maintain the three dimensionality as much as possible. To not flatten it, you know. And I strongly feel this way about that level, that kind of painting, especially with the saucies, is to not put style before construction. To not just be like, that's my style, it's all drippy and shit, and then at the expense of the color design and the construction of the character as well as the art. So that's why I took a year off and I've slowed down every time, you know, and reevaluated while doing my best to also increase uh, the contrast and the popness, poppiness of it. You there, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm thinking about the original watercolor pieces that we bought from you,
mm-hmm.
like I don't know, 4 years ago.
A long time ago.
Like the Poison Ivy, the Batman,
Ooh.
the first like kind of original like watercolor saucies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about what you were just saying, where it's style versus dynamic or construction.
Yeah, and the trick is to not flatten it when you're painting, to paint over the three-dimensional surfaces, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
because you could have something there, and then you can very easily paint over it because you're trying to make a style.
But I'm trying not to make the style the dominant thing. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's like
Yeah,
I've seen people do this and then it just ends up being a slosh of stuff everywhere and splatters all over this and that becomes a
yeah.
style, but it becomes at the expense of the actual construction of the piece.
Well,
So,
remember the Predator I got from you?
no.
I don't know, like 3 years ago. The Predator piece you did.
Was that marker?
Yeah,
Okay, so
just
you got
Copics.
okay, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That one's not flat, but it's in Copics.
Yeah, that's one I had to do twice, right? Because
Oh
Josh
no,
sold
no,
one.
you chose to do twice because
No,
you
I
did
didn't.
one. You did one purple and you did one green.
I didn't choose to do it. Mark, Josh sold
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's right.
He sold one to another guy,
Yeah, dude.
and so I had to recreate,
Yeah, that's totally happened.
and I had to use my own videos. I'm looking at it like this is how I know the videos work. Because I'm like, here we go. This is why I did this. He's like, why can't I'm like, no, no, man. Fucking talk to me before you do shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the one here I did twice.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that yeah, you bring structure and building versus. Well, I mean, if you really look at it, if you work in Photoshop, it's the same idea. You can build in Photoshop.
Well, I want my art to be three dimensional, you know, as much as possible. So, um, and the more you draw, the more you draw on 2D surfaces, the more you know you can flatten that out. And so with the painting thing, you know, it's been a matter of like trying to figure out what it is I want to do with it and what works and doesn't work. And I've done a lot of things where I'm like, no, that is not it. You know, thanks for the money. Won't be doing that again. But sometimes I don't know like what I'm trying to do. And when I don't know what I'm trying to do, I just have to stop doing it for a while and go do something else. And so,
Most of it's worked out.
and the saucies, man, I mean, that's something where I could just sit there and be like, I'll just keep splatting and splat my way into fucking money. But if I,
Keep spotting my way into money.
yeah, but I've seen what happens to artists when they lean on a style. They start to parody themselves, you know?
That was what Brandon was doing.
Yeah, he was parodying himself. I mean, he was starting off with some bad construction to begin with, and then he was like he was half-assing that too, you know what I mean? Like, and just knocking stuff out. And I'm like, you stop knocking things out. You know, you need to stop drawing altogether. I actually told him, I said, you know what you need to do? Don't draw anything for 3 months. Go live life. Get away. Come back. He didn't want to hear it, you know? I'm like, I'm being dead serious, dude. Like, there's a point where, you know, the last time I took a serious break, I took 6 months. 2012, 2011, around September, October of 2011. I didn't draw for almost 6 months, you know, because I was like, this is not achieving what I needed to. And, you know, Bacon didn't come through on Game Cave stuff we were doing at the time. And I'm like, I need to stop everything for a little bit and reevaluate what it is I'm trying. So I just went off. My wife was genuinely annoyed with me. She's like, are you something to do? I'm like, no, we're here together.
This is it,
Gonna,
my love.
yeah. No, just play your game. I'll just sit here. She's just staring at her. You know, I had nothing to do. It was genuinely a disturbing time for her. She was like, you gotta go. It was fun for a week. And then she's like, you gotta get a life.
Dear
You know,
Rob, fuck off. Okay, thanks,
yeah,
bye. Your wife.
you know? So, but it's like these sketches. I mean, am I making a ton of money off it? No, I need to move the prints. I need to generate a bunch of sketches because I owe fucking Game Cave art. Because I have to redraw a bunch of shit that Josh lost too. There's that. Um, and
Don't bring up the J word.
and I need to have a consistent way of always doing some line work. You know what I mean? Where I'm figuring out what is the optimal amount of effort between this, and if I was to color this, what would digitally? Okay, that'll work. And if I color it, it'll also work. I know it'll work with Copic because I've colored some things with Copic that have nothing on there. Like I'm just trying to find the optimal. Manga isn't the most well drawn art, right? It's speed, and it's service to the
Yeah,
story. It's
yeah.
service to the story. So I'm trying to find what is my manga style. That this is me drawing manga, even though this happens to have like a Japanese feel to it. What is that? You know, it's not me on firing on 1,000% perfection. It's me saying, okay, but the construction's there, right? The construction
Yeah.
is there. I'm not forced. I'm not fucking around with that. But I'm also not spending 10 hours digitally going here and making sure all the fucking boots are perfect and all the laces are tied up perfectly. Matter of fact, I found when it looks a little rougher, people seem to like it better too. So how can I do that and still make certain?
Saucies. Why do you
Well,
think saucies are popular, man?
right, but also how can I do that without cheating myself and making certain that I'm not taking shortcuts to achieve that? This is very subliminal stuff, folks. But having spent years, I have been accused by certain art directors who feel I overthink this stuff. But I don't believe so, because I've seen artists that go down that path, amateur and professional. I've been in art departments where someone finds a thing they're good at, and then they do it all the time, and the next thing you know, like it's just this giant shorthand. You see it in your handwriting. You come with this cool way of doing something in the seventh grade, and then it eventually turns into, like you used to put more effort into it. But with the saucy stuff, I'm super, super cautious about that. Because I've produced some bad saucies. I mean, I'll never forget.
What, are you serious?
Oh man, the Final Fantasy 13. That's when I stopped doing it for a year. I hit a limitation.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Are you
Dead
really
serious. I
that one?
apologize. I hated it. And I apologized to the guy.
That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, that one I hated. And then I got to the point. Um,
Lightning is what got you.
where did I get to the point? I got to the point even like with the recent Wolverines, like this needs more contrast. That's where I came up with the shadow thing. But I know some people like when I paint with the giant brush, and it has these bigger things going on with the. Um, so I don't know, man. I'm very self-conscious
Wait,
when it comes
wait,
to
wait, wait.
sauces.
What Wolverine saucy? Because last Wolverine you did was not saucy.
Yeah, it was. I did two of them.
No, you did that two-tone of his stance.
I did the yellow and blue and the brown. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. I got it right here.
that wasn't saucy.
Yeah, it was.
Alright.
You want me to show it to you?
No, that's the one I'm thinking of.
It's these two right here. This one.
Give me 8 seconds, please.
And they come
I
out
hate,
fine, but I know I can
I,
increase and
I
improve.
hate YouTube for this, by the way.
Well, that's physics, bro. It's not just YouTube.
I know.
Fucking Newton.
Fucking Newton. Oh, no, okay, so I wasn't thinking of those saucies. It was those ones? Yeah, saucies. It was the Wolverine that you actually had the background on.
Huh?
You didn't do a saucy with those. You did like a suave with them.
I don't know what Wolverine you're talking about. I haven't drawn Wolverine very much.
Fucking,
It's not a regular character in my rotation.
yeah, I know. I'll find it.
And Shifty Eddie makes a point. It's not cheating if it's deliberate, but if I'm deliberately fucking speeding up for the sake of, you know, there's something I'm trying to do and I'm still not quite. I hit it in certain spots, and so. I want the details and I want
Found it.
simplicity or
Found it.
contrast. What? Which one?
Um, it was when you were doing one of your sketches at midnight, number 17, and it was a back shadow.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It's an older one of those $10
Yeah,
sketches.
that's what I was thinking
Oh,
of.
that's a long time ago, man. It's
Yeah.
2011.
Well, I'm sorry.
Right. No,
Draw
I
a
did
lot of
these,
stuff.
and I did a cool test with the Wolverine too that came out nice, but it's a different look, so I don't want to give up. I like what I don't know. Anyways, guys, I could endlessly fucking talk about me drawing. It's not a very interesting subject, and I definitely loop over. I think about it a lot. I am more critical of my work than anyone I've ever worked for has been.
And that is true.
You know, but it's always in service of being constructive. What can I do? What am I trying to do? It's not you suck. It's not like a self-esteem issue. It's not like, oh, I'm, self-deprecating. No, 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 no. It really is constantly trying to improve, constantly trying to get certain things, and it's not even sometimes a quality issue. It's just what am I trying to do? You know, and does that sacrifice quality? Does that
Over and over and over and
over and
over
over and
again.
over? It's madness. I
Dude,
admit I'm
it's
obsessed with it. You
I,
know.
I'm hitting almost 5 years on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. How
That's
many
what
times
it
have you
is.
heard? Mike's been here for so many conversations never recorded. You know.
Oh, so many. So many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's correct. Um, Probably one of the best artists I've ever got to hang out with and actually be able to throw a tutorial out and give educational content to without even asking and help the average person. It's good, but yeah, it's not an easy process.
And it's self-taught. I mean, there's no
That's
magical
that's
fucking talent
yeah,
here.
that's the other very very big part of that.
Yeah, my ability is not that I have some magical fucking art ability. I don't. I'm not anywhere near the world's greatest artist, nor will I ever be. But what I do have is the ability to fucking see
Yeah.
what I think I'm good at strengths and what people are doing right and how to like. I'm pretty good at like problem solving, you know. So
If I could ever have you be a software tester, you would be my
I'd just
angel.
break your game. No, I'd make your life
No,
miserable. Like
you would be beautiful.
I'd break everything.
Do you remember the name of your video where you were like, "Hey, I learned how to do a 3/4 pose, and then if I just edit it this way, I get the opposite side of that 3/4 pose." Do you remember
Yeah, I
that
think
video?
I did one. I think it's the X-Men one. I think I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. That one. Watch that, and then go, "All right, this guy knows what he's talking about."
Oh, how to get a back pose based off a front pose in 2 seconds?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Discovered that little trick in 1999
yeah. By
in my
himself.
by myself in my room in Germany when I was in the
Yeah,
army, doing model sheets for the first time, and I got real tired of drawing the grids and lining everything up. I'm like, there has to be an easier way. So I took a
yeah,
piece of paper and I had the front pose. I'm like, well, the back pose. What does he look? I just put him from the back. I'm like, you can kind of see if you just change this and move that. I'm like, there. Holy shit. And I just sat there in my room looking around like,
yeah.
I guess I'm the only one who knows
Watch
this.
that video. Let it blow your mind. And it's self-taught. I don't really have anything else. That's that's just the way it is.
Well, I just don't want people to sit around making the same mistakes I made 20 years ago. I really feel
I
like, that
yeah, no,
the point of
I know how
information
that
is to push it
goes.
forward, not to
Yeah.
sit there and watch people get hung up on stupid shit. Like, and sometimes pushing forward means, hey, you're going to need to spend the next 5 years doing this one thing, but if you just do it, you know, you won't waste the next fucking 20, you know? Even 2 years from now, you'll see significant improvement. Even,
It happens in my industry as well.
and I just,
We have things that you have to do. They're like just you have to do this and you have to do this for a while. Whether you like it or not,
if you
most
want to do this
times it
forever
sucks.
it's one thing. If you want to do it for the summer, I suggest you go to band camp or something. You know what I mean? Like, take up something else, you know?
No.
But if you're really interested in improving your stuff for the long haul, now if you want to make weird avant-garde art, I mean, you got to talk to some other artists for that. I'm very specific towards creating comic booky three-dimensional art. There's some sound advice all around through, but this is what I sort of specialize in. So, if someone's like, "How would you draw a 3D dog?" I'm like, I take a photo of a dog and just trace over the fucking thing, like Drew Struzan does, and then sit there and look at the photo and render the shit out of it until it was close. And I would keep doing that for about 20 years. But I don't want to do
I
that.
did things for a long time.
Very long time.
What's this prep for?
Final Fantasy VII? It's Tifa. She's going to be dragging a giant controller. And don't ask me why I came up with this. I just was like, I don't know. I like drawing giant controllers. This goes back to high school when they made me draw still lifes, and I hated drawing bowls of fruit, so I would just bring my controllers from home, and set those up and draw video game stuff. I'm like, you said bring stuff from home. Here we go. I'm drawing this. I don't want to draw fruit. What are you going to do? Make a living drawing controllers? Here you go, Mrs. Irvin. Here you go. You should take live drawing
Suck
classes. I
it.
did. I spent, many, many, many months in art studios and just sitting out at the mall drawing people. Even now, I still do people sketching.
I took 2 life drawing classes, and I still
That's not going to
have
cut
the.
it. But I spent a long time deconstructing the human body and having to animate the skeleton and having to animate, you know what I mean? Like every little fucking body part.
Well, yeah, of
So
course. You have to figure out how it
it's
works.
not just like the live drawing, but it's understanding how people work and then
Yeah.
willing to I'm knowingly going to fucking, I'm not doing that. Looks better like this. But I would say if you really study for about 2 years, you'd be pretty good to go. It doesn't mean just redrawing people. You gotta just deconstruct them, rotate them, animate them in 3/4 poses. Actually animate them running in 3/4 poses. Controllers with cords of dark time. I still play controllers with cords because my fucking PS4 controller's always dead.
Dude, okay, so
It's
seriously, can
always
we talk
dead,
about
bro.
that for a second?
Yeah, sure. It's always dead, man.
We have a spot that we have the charging cable, and we just cycle the controllers out.
I just leave it plugged
Because
in. USB. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I have a USB extender. I plug the
no, I
fucking
don't. I
thing.
don't have that long of a cable though.
Huh? That's what she said. But what I'm saying is,
Oh,
gotcha. Well, you walked right into that one.
I know.
Amazon, bro. It's like the $10.
I figured, they would be the same as PS3 controllers.
I'll be giving up cables on controllers when they're wirelessly fucking being recharged. You know?
Not that far away.
Yeah, well, we're not there yet. So
PS4 is garbage though. Absolute garbage.
what's garbage?
The the amount how you have to constantly fucking recharge the
It's because of that
PS4
fucking light.
controllers. And they don't let you turn it off.
I know. It's ridiculous. That being
They
said, it's
do
still a
not
better
let you.
controller than the Xbox One. I don't want to hear shit about it.
Oh, whatever, girl.
It is.
No, whatever.
It's the
Whatever.
best feeling PlayStation controller since the original DualShock. Original
You're not
DualShock was
wrong.
always my favorite.
You're not wrong. Xbox One controller feels just as good, lasts 10 times as long. Dispute it.
Can't wait to play. What do you got? What do you got on that system? What do you got? NFL Live. All right, got that. Okay.
What, on Xbox One?
Halo 5 and 786p, some weird fucking resolution. No one knows what the fuck. 9, 12, 30.
Whatever runs at 60 FPS. I'm not knocking the PS4 controller.
I think it's bullshit you
It
can't
just
turn the
dies
light
so
off.
fast.
I think
Huh?
it's bullshit you can't turn the light off. It's
I
absolute
totally
bullshit.
think it's bullshit.
And
You
I
can't
don't
turn
think
it off.
the fucking stupid touchpad it should be on the system. I think it's pointless.
I don't use either.
Yeah, it's an unnecessary stupid
What I
feature.
do is I switch every day. I switch 2 controllers out.
Yeah.
On
Well, I just get a fucking cord, dog.
I have one. I just have a short one.
I don't like Space Marine games, man. I don't care. I don't care about Space Marine games. I like humor.
I don't actually.
I'd rather
any
play The
games
Witcher
on
3.
PS4.
I got The Witcher 3. I
No,
got
I
Uncharted.
bought
Like
the Dragon
Uncharted.
Quest game.
Like Uncharted. Got Dragon Quest coming.
Yeah, I bought that one.
But actual Dragon Quest is coming too. Do you see the trailer for that?
The one. No. What?
Talking about Dragon Quest Heroes.
Yeah, I bought that.
I got
You told me
that.
to.
But
I bought it.
But Dragon Quest 11 is actually coming.
They're making Dragon Quest 11 for.
Yeah, PS4 and Switch. Yeah, but it'll launch on
And
PS4
Switch?
first. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they already announced it.
No, Sony's like, sorry, Xbox.
It'll never be on the Xbox because no one's buying Xbox in Japan. They don't give a flying fuck. It's not Sony, it's Square.
Oh, Square.
So you'll get Lara Croft on Xbox, which is also Square. Crystal Dynamics, which is owned by Square.
So what are going to be the Switch release titles?
Zelda. That's all I care about.
We can't play at the same time.
So, take turns.
So what am I going to do while you're playing?
Shoot the shit. And while you're playing, I'll shoot the shit.
Alright, fair enough.
That's how I normally fucking always play my games when I have a friend, bro. I don't sit around being like, we gotta both. I mean, if co-op's nice, but it's better online. We can split screen. That's the worst. I have a 65-inch television, and split screen still sucks. You know, every time you split that screen up, you're like, I'm getting half
Right.
the screen. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what half I'm getting. I don't want it. I want the full screen. Deformers is the game. Deformers. I don't know what Deformers is.
You're doing. Launch title?
There's only one game on the Xbox One I think is worth playing, and that's Sunset Overdrive. But I'm not
Do you
buying
want
the
me
fucking
to? You want me to
Xbox.
bring an Xbox One
No,
down?
I really don't, because I don't give a flying shit. And Brandon's got one. I don't care. You know, I'm not gonna be able to play it. Oh well. You know.
Yeah,
Oh
you will.
well. Oh well. I got plenty of other shit to play. You know. I got plenty.
So much Zelda. So I guess it's like Rocket League, Deformers.
I don't know. I've never heard of it. Sorry to say. If you want me to grab a game, I got the game flights. Let me know in advance too. I can always put it in the queue.
You got N64.
Nah, I got all that shit on emulation, dude.
So we can legit play some Mario Kart, like old school Mario Kart.
Mario Kart 64 is horrible. I hate it.
No, why?
I hate it. It's blurry. It's got 2D fucking shit. Characters are not three-dimensional. The AI sucks.
It's fun.
Crash Team Racing was a much better game. Diddy Kong Racing was a much better game. I don't like Mario Kart 64. It's my least favorite Mario Kart.
Thanks for crushing my dreams, sir.
It's not like your dreams. I think you have poor taste in Mario Kart, but other than that.
All right, what would you suggest for a beautiful Mario Kart experience?
Mario Kart 8. It's on the Switch. I mean, the Wii U will be on the Switch. I'm going to bring a port with extra characters and all the DLC and whatever else. I also like Mario Kart, was it 7 on the 3DS? That was fucking cool. Mario Kart in 3D. Even the Mario Kart on the original DS Lite, whatever that was, Mario Kart 6 or 5 or whatever the fuck it was, that was dope. Wasn't a fan of the Wii. Wasn't a fan of Double Dash. I think it's highly overrated.
I hate this chair so much. Yeah. So let's figure out some form of Mario Kart that you actually like.
Well, I'm not going to want to play the Nintendo Wii U when I have a Switch.
With Zelda on it.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to be playing. We'll play some. For some co-op, I'll find something to play. I got shit.
Come on.
Let's play Diablo 3. Really fucking. You'll get real annoyed.
I am bringing a gaming laptop, so it'll be fun.
No, I got Diablo 3 on the PlayStation 4. It's better to play with the controller.
No, it's not.
It is. It's much more fun.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
I learned this playing on PS2. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Diablo with the controller. Way better.
I will neither confirm or deny that.
Because you played it and you know you liked it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
PC Master Race.
PC for the mods, dog. PC for the mods and for the gaming deals. But when it comes to controllers, sorry, dude. The Diablo is better with the controller.
I'll figure that out when I get there.
You haven't played it with the controller?
No.
Then you don't know, do you?
No. Why have
G.I. Jose. You just complained about a PS4. always being unplugged. You have a PS4.
Yes.
So don't say I have a PC. You also have a PS4. That's what we're talking about.
No, I know. I just don't put anything on the PS4 because I have to buy it twice. I don't want to.
Well,
Because I already have Diablo on Steam or
Diablo is
whatever.
better on the PS4.
I
It is.
don't think you're right about that.
Controller.
Controller, whatever.
Much more fun. Much more fun.
PC, way better graphics.
Looks pretty good to me, Doug. I don't know what you're talking about. Matter of fact, I think I even looked at the metrics. I think it runs better, even on the PS4. As crazy as that sounds. If I remember right, Kotaku did a whole thing.
I will bring down a laptop with a GTX 860. And oh, we're doing it. Oh, no. I'm going to get my new work laptop. So we will have a GTX 860 and a GTX 1050. So we can go side by side.
No, you can't. I don't want to play Diablo with the fucking mouse.
I don't want
I did that. I don't like it. It gets boring. Fall right asleep. Click, 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 click. Pass right out.
Or button mash.
It's fun. You got the combos. You flip around. Yeah. You got this little flip move you can do with the character.
I say.
Well, we know what you say, but you're compromised.
Very true.
You're not thinking logically. You're playing with passion.
PC compromised.
Mm-hmm. You may as well tell me about the blast processing. That adds to Sonic speed. You know, then Super Nintendo can't make it. Can't make things go that fast. What the fuck they were thinking? I was supposed to be doing this all day, but I had to make those changes to the Quetzalcoatl. That ate up time. What are you doing up? Oh, did you finally pass out? What, can you not hear me? You can ask, but he's not answering right now. Let me recall him back. Yes. You got me. I don't know what he's talking about. Let's try one more time. He might be rebooting. Yeah, he rebooted. Skype just crashed. Alright. Reboot Skype. Reboot Skype. It's near his bedtime anyway. Night, dude. Hey, you can ask him whatever, but like I said, not tonight. All right, dude. Peace. My controller reference. Controller's probably a little too dark in the lines, but whatever. is my... Let's see how this goes, see if it bleeds. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's just me here, man. Mike had to go sleep. Uh, 2:24 a.m. And I think at his time, 1:24. He's an hour in the past. So I'll wrap it up after finishing this one. And then I have to get caught up. I have to use my personal time tomorrow to get caught up on stuff. So I'll probably try to draw 4 more tomorrow before I get to the Saucy, and then the remainder Friday. Friday and Saturday. They'll be done. Later, dude. Alrighty, everybody. Pretty good, right? So I'll be back tomorrow. We got a couple more to do here. So that's two. We've got a stack of these to do. How many more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About six or about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of these to do here. So I'll definitely try to gang through another 2 tomorrow, and then wrap up Friday so I can get these in the mail Saturday and be done. Oh shit! Let's see if I can add some. I'll erase this if I don't like it. So we are getting there, dude. All right, that'll do, pig. All right, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Joey, Darth Andrew, Shifty Eddie, Ash, Dom, new guy, Paul. Let me go up and do. Let me go up. Johnny was here, or maybe he's still here. Peter Clark, thanks for hanging out. Don't be a stranger. If you have any questions, Seizure, thanks for hanging out. Marks the spot. All right, everybody. I'll be back on later on day.